Aber Schmotkin, Bisrol, bist doch gewähnt, bist doch gewähnt dort in Vov Tishrei Chofei, ist öfter wirst du auch nicht mit erzählen. Aber Schmotkin, nu? L'chaim, sag L'chaim erstens. Everybody is welcome to say L'chaim, to open the cameras, open the videos, and we can Farbrengen zusammen. Nur aber Schmotkin. L'chaim, L'chaim. There's no question about it. It's a very special day. The 60 Kiyov from Vov Tishrei. So there is so many stories from the Rebbetzin Chana, but I want to start with a story that I heard from Yisrael Deren. In Aleph Nissen by the Eil, I heard from Yisrael Deren a story. It's a story which is well known, but Yisrael Deren told me the story. The Rebbetzin told him the story. Rebbetzin Chana told him the story. And that's the story that wait 1 second. The story is that the Yisrael Deren's parents went to see the Rebbetzin Chana. They went to visit her, and Yisrael Deren was a little boy, and he went with them. And he was sitting on the side, listening to everything, the conversation. And then the Rebbetzin Chana told them, since you were such a good boy, I'll tell you a story about the Rebbe. And she told him a story about the Rebbe. Now, she told him a story which is known, but she told him a piece that I never heard from anywhere else. She told him the story of that, the famous story that once a very famous professor went into Rebbe Leivik's house, and he had a conversation with Rebbe Leivik for a few hours. And among the things he said to Rebbe Leivik, he was a famous mathematician, and he told Rebbe Leivik that there was in the university, the local university or the large university, I'm not sure exactly where, there was a mathematical question that nobody had an answer for it. And the Rebbe was sitting somewhere in the corner and learning. And he, I guess, overheard the conversation. Before he left, the Rebbe came over to him with a piece of paper and he gave it to him. So he said, what is this? But the Rebbe said, that's an answer to the question. So he said, what are you making a joke out of me? And he looked at Rebbe Leivik. Rebbe Leivik said to him, Azer gidir kannst du nehmen. If the Rebbe gives you that answer, you should take. And he took the answer, and then there was the famous part. This part I never saw anywhere it's written that Rebbe Leivik said, Azer git, that if he gives it to you, you should take it. And then a few hours later, he called Rebbe Leivik's house, and he said that that it was the correct answer. So it's a geschmack story because here the Rebbetzin Chana is sitting and telling a little boy a story about the Rebbe from his youth. I think it's a Meredike Meisen. And of course, the second amazing story, which I want to start with before we get on the Farbrengen, or Vov Tishrei with Al Inyonim, what the Rebbe spoke about, the Rebbetzin Chana, is the story that became famous lately from the Rebbetzin Chana from the early Chavs, I guess, or late Yuds. And this story is that there was a Lubavitcher lady who came to New York for Tishrei, and then she came to New York for Tishrei, and then she went into the Rebbetzin. People used to go into the Rebbetzin all the time. She went into the Rebbetzin, and she said to the Rebbetzin that she's going back after Tishrei, and she doesn't know what to say. She didn't understand the sichos. What is she going to tell when she comes home and be a Farbrengen with the Sheikh Chabad? What is she going to say? So the Rebbetzin told her, I will tell you what to say. The Rebbetzin told her a story that the Bo Simchas Torah Ba'akofes, and the Rebbetzin had a very good place in the Nashim. And the Rebbetzin said to her, in the middle of a kofes, two Israeli women, non-from women, got into the Nashim. And because they were fremde, so people gave them to stand right in the front. They were standing next to the Rebbetzin. And the Rebbetzin said, since I understand Mother in Hebrew, So I understood their conversations. And I hear how they talk to each other. And after a while, they were standing and pushing and pushing. Everyone knows the Meredith pushing used to be by coffers. So one lady said to the other, I can't anymore. Let's go out. So the other lady said to her, I can't. He doesn't let me. That the Rebbe doesn't let her leave. She said, the Rebbetzin Chana tells a story to this Lubavitcher lady that this 5 woman said, I can't because he doesn't let me. That the Rebbe doesn't let her leave. But that's the Nikuda, what a Rebbe is, what a Nasi Yisrael, and what a Yechida, that the Rebbe, just by seeing her, she was standing upstairs in the Noshim. There used to be just a little opening that you could see. Literally a little opening. And from that, she said, and it was in the middle of Farbrengen, or middle of Kofes, and from that she said, he doesn't let me live. So she said to the lady, you pass this on to Eretz Yisrael, what is the Rebbe? L'chaim, l'chaim. We all know that the Rebbe always spoke of Vov Tishrei, Meredike Farbrengens, and always the Rebbe spoke about the Inyonim from the Rebbetzin, and several times the Rebbe spoke Bariches about the Rebbetzin herself and told stories about her, and also about her Mesiras Nefesh for Rebbe Leivik and her Mesiras Nefesh for Rebbe Leivik's Teira. But I want to say something interesting that people think when we see how the Rebbe is ain't safe. That people think we already know everything about the Rebbe. The same thing people think we already know everything about the Rebbetzin, about the Rebbetzin Chana. And we see all the time a new inyonim of Nisgala. So one of the inyonim of Nisgala was actually here in Anchorage, Alaska. A few years ago, we had a camp here. And there was a traveling camp, a modern Orthodox traveling camp. And we had a counselor here. And he was actually from Israel, but his grandparents are from America. And we were talking, and then he says to me, the Rebbetzin Chana, the Rebbe's mother, was my father's babysitter in America. And I'm like, that doesn't sound right. That can't be a true story. The Rebbetzin Chana was your mother's babysitter, your grandfather's babysitter. Doesn't make sense. He says, I'm telling you, I promise, I know it's in the family. I'm telling you this, we know the story. The Rebbetzin Chana was my grandfather's babysitter. Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Levitin. Welcome. We can't hear you. Open you're on mute. Anyway, we can't hear you still, but figure this out, Rabbi Levitin. Anyway, so this guy tells me the Rebbetzin Chana was our babysitter. My grandfather's babysitter. I said to him, it can't be. A Rebbetzin Chana came to America. She was an older lady. She was a Rebbetzin. She was the Rebbe's mother. She's not going to be a babysitter of anyone. That doesn't make any sense. So he says to me, my uncle knows the story. I will have my uncle call you. His uncle called me from New York. Later, he actually visited him. And he tells me a whole story that nobody ever in Lubavitch knew and nobody ever heard. And I wasn't fascinated later after he told me the story. I was investigating and made a story that there was a Rov, a Talmud from the Chofetz Chaim, who came to New York, and he opened a shul on Kingston Avenue, and Kingston and I got the street there where the restaurant Basil was. Anyway, in Kingston
Lincoln Street.
Lincoln. He opened a shul there. His name was, I think, Petetsky, something like that. Arav Petetsky. And he was a Rav of a shul. And then one day he lost his voice. And he couldn't be a Rav anymore. And he didn't know what to do. So he decided to open up a wedding hall in that building. He opened up a wedding hall. And his wife became the caterer. So this building on Kingston and Lincoln was a wedding hall. And because he was a Rov, everything was kosher and everything. And the Rebbetzin Chana, when she came from America, the first first she was in the Rebbe's house for a few weeks or something, or month maybe, and then she went to a special boarding house. Everything okay there? Then she went to a boarding house of Mrs. Turner, right? Mrs. Turner was her name. Mrs. Turner had a boarding house on the other side of Kingston and Lincoln. And the boarding house was like people used to rent rooms, and there was a restaurant at the bottom of the building, and she would rent rooms for people. And she herself had an apartment there, Mrs. Turner. So the Rebbetzin Chana came. She gave her half of her apartment. She made a wall between the two apartments. And Rebbetzin Chana stayed, that's where she lived. And this boarding house used to have a dining room. And in the dining room, people used to sit. The whole boarding house was to come in the dining room and sit, and there was music there. And the Rebbetzin Chana used to love to hear music. And there was a beautiful, fancy Kressler, what a Kressler, like a beautiful chair with a shrafraf, we can lay the feet up, and the Rebbetzin Chana would sit there and listen to the music. Now this Mrs. Pitsetsky, she was a good friend of Mrs. Turner. So there were two ladies. One lady had a boarding house on that side of Kingston. Another lady had on a hall with a wedding hall on that side of Kingston, and they were friends. So Mrs. Pitsetsky had a problem. She had two boys would come every day from school after school, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And she had a problem what to do with them for the next few hours till she's finishing. She could go home. So she asked Mrs. Turner, "Can they stay in your dining room there, upstairs in your boarding house? Can they do homework there?" Since the Rebbetzin Chana was sitting there in the afternoons and listen to music or read something, so she asked the Rebbetzin Chana to put an eye on the two boys, that they knew that they have no permission to leave the dining room without permission from the Rebbetzin Chana. So that's what he meant, that the Rebbetzin Chana was their babysitter. And then they used to remember that the grandfather tells them how the Rebbe used to come visit her, and she would sit mamish like a queen. They said that the grandfather, the great uncle, said they never saw a queen like the Rebbetzin Chana. When she sat on that beautiful chair and sitting as she was mamish a queen, and the Rebbe would come in before the Nesias, like a young prince would come in to visit her, and the kids will remember they were watching how the Rebbe used to come in, walk over to her, and had a conversation with her, and then walk backward, day after day, day after day. And they became very close to the Rebbetzin Chana. And Take, in the Sefer Mekadosh Soul that my friend Rabbi Eliezer Takulkovsky made, there is in the Reshime from Berel Yunik, from his wedding. So Berel Yunik was talking to the Rebbe about his wedding, and he couldn't find a wedding hall, and the Rebbe is mentioning if he spoke already to Pitsetsky about his wedding hall. So you could see it's mentioned right there in the book. And there is also a few letters from the Rebbe to Pitsetsky in Igros Kodesh. And so all thing, and he even told me there was another story in their house, which a little bit, I couldn't verify that story, but it's an interesting story. He says that their families have a bunch of bcherim, one after the other. That one time the Rebbetzin Chana gave them a few coins that were used for a pidyon haben, and she said that she doesn't need it, and she gave it to them. And talking that family that she gave it, they have bcherim one after the other, generation after. Now, one of the Meredith stories that they told about the Rebbetzin Chana related to the wedding hall. Sorry. So one of the stories that the Rebbetzin Chana told him, one story about the Rebbetzin Chana that their grandmother said, that one day the Rebbetzin Chana said to Mrs. Pitsetsky, "Badir is there freilach. You have a wedding hall, it's always happy by you. Is that okay if I sit in the wedding hall and I listen to the music of the weddings?" And there was to be a bench next where people used to go to the chuppah, and to the wedding hall, and the hallway, there used to be a bench. And basically so the Rebbetzin Chana would sit there, and the Rebbetzin Chana had a minig. And what was the minig? that when the chuppah finished and the chos and kallah would go to the cheder yichud, she would stand up and meet them as they come out of the chuppah and give them a bracha before they go to the wedding, before they go to the cheder yichud. And she did it literally night after night after night. Rebbetzin Chana was sitting by every wedding, and I mean, I don't think anybody knew about it in Lubavitch. The Rebbetzin Chana did such a thing. And she said by the weddings, she gave brachas to couples, and they knew that that's a Helike Rebbetzin, she's the Lubavitch Rebbe's mother, and so on. I don't know for how long this was going on, and for how long was this wedding hall going on. I don't know. I don't remember which year the Rebbetzin Chana moved to President Street. Maybe Rabbi Levitin will remember that. But Koponim, that's a Meredike Maise that came out just a few years ago from a Yid from Eretz Yisrael, that his grandparents are Americans, and they all remember the Rebbetzin Chana. They talk about her with the greatest respect, and here is the Rebbetzin Chana. Poshet, she in addition, we all know that the Rebbetzin Chana used to stand on Kingston and President, and stop the Anash, and stop different Anash and Bochem, and talk to them, mostly in Gelite, and talk with them about different things. And she was like the Rebbetzin. She used to love to talk to people, and she used to love to tell people what's going on. Rebbe Futterfas has so many stories about her, and so on and on. So anyway, so we see from here what it meant, the Rebbetzin Chana, what it meant that she was mamish the Ema Malchus, not only all the way from Yekaterinoslav, but all the way throughout Hilul Stalkos. She was, and there is endless stories. I also have a personal story about the Rebbetzin Chana. The Rebbetzin Chana was, when she was in Ukraine, my great-grandfather, Rebbe Zusha Friedman, was the Rav of Ades. And the Rebbetzin Chana and the Rebbe Levi were in Yekaterinoslav. So they were in the same region in Ukraine. So once they went together for dacha, and they were together in dacha. I don't remember now where, if it's in Germany or one of those places. They were together in dacha one summer. I think it was right before the beginning of World War One, and the Rebbetzin Chana and the Rebbe Levi and the Rebbetzin Chana invited once my great grandfather and his wife, my great grandmother, to eat by them. And my grandmother always remembered the Rebbe was a very young child, and she remembers how Rebbetzin Chana would call him by his name to come eat. And then when the war started, they were all stuck. And my grandmother didn't bring her children to dacha. So whenever she saw, and they didn't know what will happen, and they couldn't leave for a long time. So my grandmother, every time she saw the Rebbe, she would cry because she would remind her children. And then years later, before we go further, so when Esther Sternberg got married, when she got engaged, since she was very close to the Rebbetzin Chana, she came into the Rebbetzin Chana to say Mazel Tov. The Rebbetzin Chana says to her, "Who is your chassan?" So she said, "The Rebbetzin you don't know, it's from Eretz Yisrael." "Yeah, but what's his name?" "Sternberg." And from which family is he? So she said, he's a Friedman. His mother is a Friedman. And she said, "What? It's Ruchel Friedman's Einikel? She's my best friend. She survived the Holocaust. I haven't heard anything." And she started to change colors, that she was afraid for the Rebbetzin Chana's health. And she said, "Rebbetzin, it's okay, she's fine." And she was talking to her, and then she said, Ruchele Friedman was a very good friend of mine. That's your chassan. So it's interesting, the Chagav, the Red Shem wegen dem. So this story that my uncle, everyone knows in Crown Heights, there was a chassid, the Rosh Hashiva from Malatera, Yisrael Friedman. He had a brother, Meir Friedman, which is also very known. He used to live in Kfar Chabad. So one day, Meir Friedman was a very chassidish guy, and my great-grandmother, the Rebbetzin Rochel Friedman, she would go to visit him from time to time, to visit Meir in Kfar Chabad. So one Motzei Shabbos, she came to Meir Friedman, und gewähnt noch a große Farbrengen mit großem Maschke. And he was dancing in the house, and all the tables were falling apart. And she saw that scene, and she came home. She wrote a letter to the Rebbe, and she wrote to the Rebbe. Mistama, the Rebbe remembers me when the Rebbe was a little kid. I remember the Rebbe from Dache. My husband is Rav Zusha Friedman. And then she wrote to the Rebbe that she saw how Meir Friedman is behaving. So the Rebbe wrote to him a scharfe Zettel, a kegen trinken Maschke, a scharfe letter. So next time when she came, he said to her, Bobos me gemassert zum Rebbe. But she always told me the story. So just a personal story about the Rebbetzin Chana, what kind of reach she had. That not only she knew Anash and she had effect of Anash, but she had effect on so many, because most of the weddings in Crown Heights in those days, Rabbi Levitin could have proved it, were probably mostly modern Orthodox people, most of the more modern Amerikaner. And the Rebbetzin made that point to do a fotze, to sit there and to say madel to them and give them a brocha and everything, and have an effect on so many people, in addition to what she did with Anash and everything that most people didn't even know. Ad kei kach she had a spoil on Anash. She even told the Zalman Gorai's wife, to Mrs. Sternberg's Schwieger, she told mother, she told her how she saw Nachum Sternberg when he's coming from the kollel. She's watching him, and she sees she was afraid for him. This Israeli kid, that the Bachem, that the American Ingelai will not talk to him, and she sees that he's very popular and he's talking to everyone. She was really taking care and concerned on what's happening. And I think one of the most moving things that the Rebbetzin writes in our diary, everyone probably read the Rebbetzin diary and studied, learned that one of the most beautiful things she writes, how she's standing once outside on Eastern Parkway before the Rebbe's Farbrengen, and she sees how the Bochum come with the train, and they're all running so fast and trying to pass each other to catch a better seat by the Farbrengen. And she says, I see how they consider my son as a gatlicher man, a ish eliki. And I really appreciate that she writes for the Rebbetzin Chana. So there is endless what we could say, the stories of the Rebbetzin Chana, her richness, her understanding, her ruchnius, her gedusha, her kuz. I mean, what we understand. But anyway, L'chaim, Rabbi Levitin, you are here, you saw her, so we are going to hear from you a little bit. L'chaim, Rabbi Levitin. Rabbi Levitin, you were there by the Istalkos, right? By the Levaya.
Yeah.
Of the Vov Tishrei, you were there by the Nichum Avelim. So maybe you could share something what you remember from the Nichum Avelim, or from Farbrengen before and after.
The first, that ain't in English, yeah. The first time we were, the Elam had verstanden at the door at the Rebbetzin that something's not right. We're downstairs davening, and the Rebbe turned around before Baruch Shoma, Noch Hades Vamuna, and was looking for somebody. So durch sich mehr Halak all of a sudden zugegangen zum Rebbe, and the Rebbe, he went running to get, so I think Dr. Zelitzin came before Baruch Shoma. He came later by the Farbrengen, but this the Rebbe gesucht. And then Don came Schutzkin episodes the Rebbetzin. We did hear as a Rosh Hashanah, the Rebbetzin sitzen upstairs in the corner, the first person. The Rebbetzin that she was not there Rosh Hashanah. But that Rosh Hashanah she was not there. In fact, with Egehead, that I'm not sure exactly, but I'm feeling by Shleima, they would know better than me, Hamazachi, that her chair, I remember her chair, was somehow in the back of the shoe, in the back outside of in the yard. I'm not sure what happened, and Paparos episode that Rosh Hashanah, her chair was burnt. You have to check it out. So then we knew what then at was es handelt sich. But the Rebbe then went through davening and came out for the Farbrengen, and the Rebbe gemacht, get to see him. Ich sag, danach ist the Dr. Zalti kommen mit dem Farbrengen. And he spoke to the Rebbe. I didn't hear this, but I'm gesagt, how much, wie viel Zeit? In other words, I think he came to inform the Rebbe, the halten darf nehmen the Rebbetzin in hospital. So I remember this. I could see the Rebbe now talking to the doctor, and the doctor kept Rebbetzin, the Rebbe gewollt, get stark. And then the Rebbe beside him given, we down Mincha upstairs, and I remember very distinctly because I was standing there. At the Rebbe the Reis for Mincha, the Simcha mit Ashmeichel, came into his, and he went into the Heilige Zimmer, and he came out and he started going fast down the steps. And instead of going left, he went right between the Menschenang Steinerdort, and he started to weave. And ich habe das nicht gesehen, aber gesagt, that the Rebbe don't came laufen up Kingston Avenue to President Street. I didn't see that. I didn't get it. Toen heb ik gehört, als onkommen die Idee, aber dann haben sie auch getillen, als sie sehen, ich kann, und später dann kommen die Idee, der Rebbes, als mit genommen der Rebbes in der Hospital, der Rebbes mitgeworden. And we heard after Maidav, so we get as the Rebbes in the weg. So my father all of a sudden, we took the car, and we went down to the hospital, and we were there outside underneath the first car. With the Rebbe geht raus from the hospital. Und gehen dik, der was kam, der gemacht mit dem Finger, wir gehen dort nach Dach, wegen der Kohanim. It was like a protruding cover, der Rebbe gemacht, der Rebbe gemacht mit der Hand zum Dach. That went into the car, and we were driving, my father and I were driving right behind the car. There's the stub. And I wasn't, I didn't push, I don't want to go. It was not my, I thought they could blieben. And placing, I don't know what happened, whoever came, but the Tata drove the Rebbe home, the block and a half. He drove the Rebbe home. The Rebbe, we up to Tata Simchas, and he denkt als Shabbos, but he had that Rebbetzin Zavek, then he denkt the Zeder, we have some passing Shilas, ik bedoel dan Shimon. Ik denk dat Shimon komt te leven. Dat hij het gewollt dat zijn dorten, the young of us, whatever Shilas were coming up, I remember that clearly. I give that to the zijn dorten with them. And then the Levaya with 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock on Sunday with the Levaya. And das wird gewähnt I was not there inside the hospital, but the Rebbe haben gesagt, was stuppen sich. Und unser Rebbetzin is rein. I was not inside. I didn't go inside, so I was not inside. I can't talk with any authority. But 11 o'clock, I think, the Rebbe days coming to Kaddish in the free. We thought that the Rebbe like Tfil, but I don't know this. Can't have to check him, but I have some of the Chassidim. And mit no gegangen der Rebbe bis der Levaya, bis der Beis Salem. Und dort ist gewesen Dachen wegen der Kfuda. That I was right there standing with a couple of us on the Chabad, mit mich standing in the Bay Mamish. There we go Kaddish, and also the Rebbe geducht hat, das Chassidim. I felt like Yoshka Tal Chassidim, right? And then geducht hat, the gedenkt der Rebbe gewonnen, der da dogetan as that well, there's that getting gefunden. I remember that. Leibke Mochkin is rein in the editors gefunden. Leibke is toch zo dat gefunden. What the Rebbe was looking for. And then nog het gewoon geven de shiva. But I could talk what I had with the Rebbetzin personally. And that was L'chaim.
L'chaim. When is the first time you saw the Rebbetzin Chana?
That I remember clearly, I'll tell you the first time. I was probably 10 years old. So I went into Shalash. So I went Simchas Torah. Hab die gesagt, am Eithioske, ne? Ja,
Don't remember.
Simchas Torah, gesetzen, der Rebbe getanzt, and I was sitting on a table, weißt du, Tisch, als single. Wasn't, durch der gewinnt Simchas Torah in der Früh. If I remember Simchas Torah in der Früh. Und mit dem Mol, mitten tanzen, I can see right now, the Rebbe hate Schmeicheln. So I looked to where the Rebbe Schmeicheln. Habe gesehen von the Vikings, I mean, not too far. Ich stand nach Freu und accompanied by two standing. So wenn der Rebbe's Mama, der Rebbe's Mama, sie sah rein in den Schuh. Und der Rebbe getanzt und die Geschmächels vom Rebbe. Und der Rebbe sei Geschmächel, wenn er getanzt. That was the first vivid moment I have. Und er gewinnt in der Schlacht, probably, should sein, I can't say which year exactly, but I remember the boy about 10 years old. So Yuzaim Stam, Yuzaim, Yitzches, Ti, Yodem, and then the Shalash. Like very clearly, the Rebbe getanzt and Rebbe geschmeichelt. I can see it right now. Und ich gucke, und ich gesehen, wie die steht und die schmeichelt zum Rebbe. And the Rebbe continued to the Rebbe continued to machen mit der Hand. That's the first vivid time that I remember. That's the first that I have a recall in the das Gedenken clear. Noch habe ich gesehen, ich gedenk bei der Lag Bäume Paraden, das waren pictures. So I remember, vaguely, I saw, ich wusste, the Rebbe's mama came. I saw when she came, remember when she came, she was being led up. Noch event was when my Tata Mama, haben mir genommen zum Rebbetzin Vater Bar Mitzvah. That was clear. We come in President Street or whatever. So I went with my father, my mother, and the guy to Rebbetzin Chana Farbrengen. I could see her. She was sitting on the side of the table. My Tata Mama gesetzt my cake, and they gesetzt up low on the bed, and she's talking to them, smiling. She was very, like you said, very zugelassen. Again, they zugelassen meant they made me feel very comfortable. I was very comfortable sitting there. I Ingo from Vesel, the father of a mitzvah. And she's talking then with the most, she looks at me, and I can see her smiling. Zog the Maima.
Wow.
Zog the Maima. So I was all primed. I'm getting ready to Maima for my, Rabbi Garfinkel, Miguel and the Maima, and Bedford and Dean, and the Pilpul. I'm getting ready to talk for a couple hundred people. So I was rolling. So ich gedacht, the Maima mit wir sitzen dort 100 Menschen. And I said the first ganze Simmons, I could see her now. She looked at me with a smile the whole time. This Noga cooked at maybe like the Maima. This made me feel so comfortable. And I was really getting hepped up. That was a very given a brocha. I don't remember clear what he gesagt, but he spoke to my father, mother. And that was a very special moment.
Wow.
Of Genommen brocha von der Vater beim Mitzvah. So the Tata genommen arranged the time to go. But she was very easy, was very comfortable. I was a little boy, I was comfortable, very comfortable. Noch, letzte Mal, gesehen mitten, but then the letzte Mal gewesen, the erste nach Pesach auf Dalit. Das gewesen, wie wir kommen auf the
upstairs on the floor. Second floor. Second floor.
Gewesen auf Dalit bei Rebbe for Pesach. Sehr gewesen. But I thought the Freunde haben gesetzt und dann the door was open, but mit einer Rebbe kom jemand gewesen, der erste Jahr in Saal. Ich habe immer gekauft und mit der Regel gut getanzt, noch 4 Käse, noch 10 Käse, whatever, mit getanzt. Jeder gewesen mit uns. And mit dem Mol, the Rebbe is coming down the steps. And I'm standing right here in the corner of the steps. And the geht zu zum Rebbe Tier und klappt auf dem Tier. Der Rebbe schon gewesen im Zimmer. And they get a starker clap. And the Rebbe opened the door, and the Schmeichel von Rebbe, when I get in the mama, I could see, as I'm talking to you right now, vom Chavdal der erste Nacht, what a, die Geschmeichels, der Rebbetzin Geschmeichels am Rebbe, der Rebbetzin ihr gegeben, das Schmeichel. And she walked in und vermachtet hier und wir haben getanzt, Und ein paar Minuten ist die Reise gekommen, der Rebbetzin und der Rebbe gehalten ihr unter der Hand und wir haben getanzt, gemacht der Weg und wir getanzt darum, der Rebbetzin gemacht in der Hand, so, Yale, ich gewinnt dort, ich habe es gewinnt, noch ganz schön ein paar Cups Wein. He jumped up on a bench, with a bench right by the door there, I'm all given a bench. He jumped up on the bench, but there wasn't enough place to go. I used to love the Rebbe, but the Rebbe geschmeichelt, and the Rebbe geschmeichelt. It was some dead sea. So, and the Rebbe schmeichelt, the Rebbe mit dem as the Rebbe was walking with the Rebbe macht mit der heilige Finger zum Rebbetzin zu Yale. Als Yale gestanden auf der Bench, ich denke, der Rebbe gemacht zu der Mama zu Yale. Er guckt auf Yale. Und wir haben gesagt, oh, that's here. Oh, boy. Then the Rebbe mit Rebbetzin Chana. And then we went down behind the Rebbe, warum der Rebbe, und wir gingen bis noch der zweite Treppe, and they turned right. He says, gingen abführen dem Rebbe zu Hause, and gingen, wir haben bestimmt getan, wir gingen die ganze Zeit dort mit angehalten, and we didn't go, no one went further. And then they went up, and up hat gehört, als unser Rebbe came from Union Street. Ich finde, unser Rebbe from Union Street, and they met up at Union. Und alle drei gegangen zusammen. And it was when jemand Bochum, I don't know if there was Bochum noch neu gegangen, I don't know.
All three of them went together to where? To the Rebbe's house or to the Rebbetzin Chana's?
The Rebbetzin Chana's house, and then they walked home. Doch the Rebbe gegangen presidency, but the Rebbetzin joined on Union, und alle drei gegangen zusammen. We went to Havdalah, and that was the last time I saw her. Is the Biz de Levaya. Yeah. L'chaim. Yes, we got a bit L'chaim, yeah?
L'chaim. That was beautiful. The whole Farbrengen was worth it just to hear that story. L'chaim.
Na, manchmal hat er gemacht mit der Hand. Sie haben getan, sie hat gemacht. Weißt du, so.
I think the Rebbe was very close to her.
Yeah,
he used to sing to her the Nunigunim, the Rebbe is to sing in the Simchas Torah.
Ich habe gesagt, aber der Rebbe gemacht, ja, aber der Rebbe macht special zu ihr wegen Yale. Auf dem Tisch. Und Yale Tage gewinnen vom Bank. Getanzt, und aber die Zura, wie dem Bede da raus und wie Bedem geschmeichelt, was something to see, mit Rebbe gehalten, und alle Arum was something to see. Das ist a Zura, das ist a...
Well, wasn't that every Shabbos that she, or every Yom Tov that she used to come into the house to say good Shabbos?
No, and the Rebbe walked out with her always, and the Rebbe stood on top, and then he went down the steps, and then usually 2-3 ladies came to greet her, and the Rebbe gestanden bis Kingston Avenue, the Rebbe gestanden Talus. Oh yeah, that was every time. Das hat man gesehen, yeah, das ist, yeah, sure.
The video, there is the video that we see from the Great Parade. You see the Rebbetzin Chana for like a minute or half a minute.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful scene. You see how the Rebbetzin Chana looks on the Rebbe and looks on the crowd, and she smiles with such nachas. It's a beautiful video. It's a 1 minute, but it's a meredike video.
That's how Maisa in Zayden with the Rebbetzin Chana. So like you said, she was standing outside, but sometimes she had a woman next to her. She had a woman who kind of stood with her. And the Zaydi guy in Taten. And they met in the corner there. When gestanden geredet. Die gestanden mit der Freude, der Tate gestanden mit den Zayden. Dus geht der Meist jetzt bei der Sifa, Joschke. Hat jemand da getan, der Meiste, wenn Zaydi gehst im Bett, Zaydi schmuz, Zaydi gehst im Bett. Die gewinnen als Shadafa kommen bei ihr Stadt. She told him the story. Die gewinnen Mädel 4 or 5 years old. He told the Zayda, the Zayda Yesenberg gewinnen Stub, sie gewinnen allein mit dem. Gedenkt die als Mädel von 4 years old, gegangen hin und zurück, geguckt auf ihn, ja, yichud, nicht yichud, ja, yichud, nicht yichud. And she was about 4 years old, 5 years old, but she told that story that time standing there. Hat die erzählt dem Meise, wegen wie Yesenberg, Paha, hat geguckt auf ihn, 4 years old, but she remembered that, ja, yichud, nicht yichud, ja, yichud, nicht yichud. Was hat die gepasst, weiß ich nicht, aber the Meise, that's the story she told. That was the lady came home at the time, told the story right away over. Lady, yeah, yichud, nicht yichud. Das am meisten darf das sehr einträglich, ja, Joske? L'chaim, l'chaim.
L'chaim.
Aber Schmotkin, du bist Tag rein in die Jahren, möchte ich sagen, ein bisschen l'chaim her. Du bist rein in den Mitteljahren, Israel. Du bist rein in den Mitteljahren.
Israel, you saw the Rebbetzin Chana, es ist ein Chef Kodesh für dir zu öffnen, dein Mikrofon und erzählen, was du gedenkst. No? Israel. On a Nives Shel Sheker. L'chaim.
You know,
Reb Shalom Ber, there is in the Rishimis from the Rebbetzin Chana, there is the famous story that she tells about the Rebbe. The story that everyone knew about, the story that when the Rebbe was a little boy, when he jumped in to the water. But the Rebbetzin Chana, in her Rishimis, when the Rishimis came out, she added a piece to that story, which only in the Rishimis it's found. And that piece tells that this story is not stam a story. And it's not stam that she wrote it. She wrote in the story, what was the story? That the Rebbetzin Chana didn't know where the Rebbe was. Then all of a sudden, she saw that the Rebbe jumped into she saw everyone is talking, and there is a big commotion, a big bahala going on, and that someone is drowning, and she saw a little boy is drowning, was the Rebbe, and he came out to the water, and everyone was trying to bring him back. And what was the story? The story was that there was some young man who took a little kayak, and he was kayaking. And he came to a point where it was under the water went under like a breach, and it was like a cave kind of, and the water were going in the wrong direction, and he had to go against the tide, and the whole thing. And what the Rebbetzin Chana says, so that this boy drowned, and the Rebbe jumped in as a 9-year-old boy. He jumped in, and he took over the mashat he took over the whatever it's called. He took it over, and he basically put the boy on the kayak, and he took over to try to get out with the kayak. And the Rebbetzin Chana explains, as even very experienced people could not do it successfully, because it was a very complicated situation, and you needed to have a special skill how to navigate, how to get out of that corner. How to be able to take the kayak out. And the Rebbetzin Chana explains that you need, it was a all chokhmah and a all strategy, how to be able to get yourself out of that place, how to navigate this boat out. That's the story the Rebbetzin Chana said, but that's the piece she added. And I think that this story, the reason why the Rebbetzin Chana told the story, because that is what the Rebbe is all about, the Nosi Adair, how to navigate our generation out of the golus, that it's, even though it's against all odds, and you need she said that the Rebbe fainted, pushed out of exhaustion, not only pushed a physical and also emotional and spiritual keiches from thinking b'shas ma'aseh how he got out, how to get out and not to be stuck like the other guy drowned, and how to be able to navigate and come out. And that's the nekudah from the Rebbe, from Nosi Adair, that the Rebbe is navigating the little shifale of the Am Yisrael from this horrible Maimah Zedeni from Mabel, how to get out. We see the Rebbetzin Chana didn't told the story. Every story she said was the story had a lesson and a message. She wrote it without explaining she added those nikudas that nobody ever before knew what she wrote in her diary. L'chaim, shalom l'chaim.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
L'chaim. Rebbetzin Chana, I think she loved the nigun Rachamon Adonai that I was teaching, because this was the nigun of her father, I think, right? Of Meir Shleimer. Nigun was Neget Aseret Mitzvah. Rachamon Odei Yedei On Yelan Yei Oivei Rachamon Odei On Yedei On Yelan Yei Rachamon L'chaim, Rabbi Levitt and L'chaim.
Rabbi Smotkin was in der geworden, Rabbi Smotkin.
Wir haben auch größere Chassidim da auf dem Telefon, wir haben auf Greismann, auch größere Chassidim, and we will ask them to speak, of course.
Maybe, not maybe, not maybe, ask them to say words. What's a maybe?
Als sie behalten sich mit einer Nobel Sheker, was kommt dann? So, Koponim, so there is one of the amazing things that the Rebbetzin Chana told the story, and there is an interesting piece to it that I later years I found out. Everyone knows the story that the Rebbe was born. The Rebbe Nishmos Eden sent the Rebbe Rashab sent a few telegrams from Lubavitch to Nikolaev with heroes about the Rebbe. Now we don't know what said in the heroes, but I think one thing the Rebbetzin Chana said something beremez that maybe was one of the heroes, and that was the Rebbetzin Chana once said that Rebbe Leivik told her that from the second the Rebbe was born, that whenever she is feeding the Rebbe, that she should wash her hands for Negelwasser and wash the baby's hands for Negelwasser. Can't you understand what that means in the kleine Stettlach in the winter when the water are freezing cold on Shabbos, whatever, to wash a baby, a one-day baby, their hands. Every time a baby eats, every 2 hours, every 3 hours, to wash the hands of the baby and wash the hands of the mother. Now, I think that it says somewhere, Beremes, the Rebbetzin Chana said that she thinks that this maybe was one of the heroes. I think that there is one of the Rishimas she writes it. But upon him, many years later, was this Galgavan, a very interesting story that Yossel Weinberg wrote. Yossel Weinberg wrote a letter, a very long letter to Irmi Eloi in South Africa, in Cheshvan Tovshin Yud Aleph. And he starts the letter that the Rebbe told him, Simchas Torah, and the Rebbe gave him L'chaim, the Rebbe told him to write to Eloi about what's going on here. So he understood that the Rebbe meant that he should write to him about the Nesias.
Who is Loy again?
Yermi Eloi, the guy in South Africa, no?
Yeah, wer is given? What was he?
Who is Yermi Eloi?
Given Mishpacha?
Gewinnt Mekurev zu Lubavitch. I don't know exactly his history. Gewonnen eine von der Mekurev zum Rebbe, von Jemo.
Yeah.
Noch von Friedrich Rebbe. But nicht gewinnt Mamesh eigener, so but gedacht Mekurev sein. He was, whatever, he became a Mekurev. I don't remember the whole history of Yermi Eloi, but he is like the founders of South Africa. Upon him, so Yossel Weinberg writes to him all letter, like 5-6 pages or more. What's going on with Kabbalah Senesias? So one of the things he writes them, which is very interesting, he says to him that Muhammadine told him in Tavshin Aleph, that she told him a story about the Rebbe, the godless from Rebbe. And she said that she heard that the Rebbetzin Chana used to wash the Rebbe's hand from the second he was born, every time before she was feeding him. And she said that she waited till the Rebbetzin Chana came to America in Tavshin Zayin to ask her if that is true, to confirm it with her. And when Rebbetzin Chana came to America, she confirmed that that's true, that was what she did. And she said that she's greasy spilers from them. She didn't she didn't say to him why she saw these spoilers from them, why she wanted to know if that's true. But upon him, we see from that story that there was something unique about this concept that the Rebbetzin Chana had to wash the Rebbe's hands from the second he was born, and that Muhammadina wanted to know if that is true, and she was gracious spoilers from that. She didn't say why. Upon him, because ich vorstellen that this is probably a noga, especially for the Rabbeim, because ich vorstellen allein. Amen. L'chaim, l'chaim. Chaim Rabbi Shlevet, l'chaim.
Dat werd op zijn label Alefsko gekomen. Hij had het met samen gegaan, de Rebbetzin. Should have got him on.
Chaim Shalom, l'chaim. That talk from Vov Tishrei is the Chatog, if the Rebbetzin is our mother, so the Rebbetzin Chana is our grandmother. So we are grandchildren. So that's the Pshas that talk. She's giving us the Rebbe geredet wegen der Rebbetzin, als jem Brocha, wegen Chabei Shvat, so sicher dasselbe Sachen geht zu Vov Tishrei, so jem Brocha, so can nehmen alle Broches and that talk l'chaim l'chaim.
Wenn wir das de Nacht von Erev war der Rebbe durchgestanden, der angekommen, der Satmer angekommen. We were there, the Satmer angekommen, haben noch nein. The Mamas didn't know they along come the idea that kommt on. Und in kann heiße gewen a paar Satmer haben, dem Schmiel. Ich so smart gedenk Schmiel at President Street. Schmolazo gedenk Schmiel at President Street. Is at dem gewusst, der had a idea that kommt zu fahren. We come with a station wagon. There's three in the front, he was in the middle, in the back. Doch nicht feel good. Der eins zum Rebbe, gab und gehalten im Tier. Und was ist vorgekommen, weiß man doch. Also, kommt mit der Munkatsche, die haben da in Manchego. Und der Rebbe gefragte Schale, was gefragt bei anderen, wegen, wenn ich aufstehen. Durch aufstehen früher. Ich wollte aufstehen früher. And so he wasn't feeling well. Aber besagt mir, was mit ihm begeben, besagt rein zum Leben. Hat gefragt, der Rebbe gefragt. Und hat nicht geantwortet. Der Rebbe getan zu der Munka, hat gefragt, das ist, bin ich der Lade der Eineko. Er hat gesagt, ja, der hat gesagt, das Wort wegen Mincha der Lade. Weiß auch das Wort. Der Rebbe hat gesagt, das gedruckte Wort. Hat aber gehabt, alles vom der Munka, was ich schon gefunden hätte, wo stehen früher. Der Rebbe hat gesagt.
No, God was?
Aber gehabt, das Forum von der Munka, that were not printed yet. Und das made again.
Oh, das Forum von der Munkatsche.
Ja, gesagt, und das made again, als wir so, weil der hat das auch getan, hat aber gehabt, alles Forum, was ich schon gefunden hätte, wo stehen früher. Das hat mir nie begann von inside. Aber Rebbetzin Chana, we know her as we know her. But ich shemaiti, at morgen am Samaisen, Ben Shemtach, und ich reingehen in die Protim. Als ich dem gesagt habe, die kann mit dem reden stark ich. We got die kennt them sagen, I mean, in her way. Joschke, wird aber ein bisschen heim?
He's a bewusster Meister that with Shmuel Lud always says the story. Shmuel Lud said the story that the Rebbetzin Chana, that the Chassidim is to go in, the Dalaf Nissen, the Alter Chassidim is to go into a house to say L'chaim, have a little Farbrengen. So once it was, one of the Alter Chassidim said that the Rebbe Zolom Nachasuach or something, and she said, Solem good sein. And she said, was kumtem. About the Rebbe. So good sein was kumtem. She was very. There is also the famous story from Rav Diskin with the case in Chaim Shlomo Diskin's grandfather, Aaron Yankiv Diskin, that he knew Reb Leivik from Yekaterinslav, and he was also in jail, the same jail where Reb Leivik was. So once that he came into the Rebbetzin Chana years before in Yekaterinslav, so he said,
Wait a minute, Joschke. Label Alevsky's there. Label.
We know he's there, and someone already called him to ask him to speak, and Matish Gel from the main cave. So now
Label, Label, I'll talk to him. Label, do you hear me? Label. Okay, du bist da. Ich sage, das schon dein Vater, dein Amolke Chava.
Yeah.
The one who worshipped you when I was a younger Bacha, Gedenkside. I was one of the worst people who worshipped you, looked up to you.
Thank you for the compliment.
No, Label, du bist doch gewesen bei der Rebbetzin. Erzähl ein bisschen, was du gesehen bei Rebbetzin Chana.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
yes,
we hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, because I want to Farbrengen was the Rebbetzin Chana. If I gonna be buying stub. The day that I was hired by David Raskin, he took me to the Rebbetzin and introduced me, and this is the person that will opened the first Chabad Tzach office. And he told me that when the Rebbe Tzach was, am I clear?
Yeah, we hear you, label. I'm ahead to go ahead.
He told me that when the Rebbe Tzach is close to her heart, because that's the only message at that time that the Rebbe made it. Anyway, from that day on,
Rabbi Alevsky, you said that the Rebbetzin, that Tzira Gudas Chabad, Tzach, was very close to the Rebbetzin heart. That's what you said?
yes,
Okay.
because
She
it
had a
was,
special chvivus for Tzira Gudas Chabad. Okay.
yeah, but it's a the message with the Rebbe gemacht.
Because Tzira Gudas Chabad was the first institution the Rebbe established.
Yeah, America the Mahna Gehosa, free. Yeah, and so I became my houseboy. I helped her with whatever she needed. I was there very often. And one of the time was when she Farbrengen with the elder Chassidim. She Farbrengen twice. Yadalas Nisan and Chafov. So I remember she was sitting. Why is my view not clear? And
Why what?
Never
Why
mind.
what? Say it again.
Why don't I see my face?
I will then Yoska put him, let him be able to see himself.
Well, we don't see him. Why? Do you have someone to help you with the computer there?
How about now?
No, we don't see you.
You still don't see me?
We see your name, we hear your voice.
We hear you, but we don't see you.
Never
The
mind.
is
Never mind. Anyway,
yeah.
so she Farbrengen twice a year with the older Chassidim.
Yeah.
The Rebbetzin was sitting at the head of the table, slided to the right, not straight, but slided to the right with a cup of wine in front of her. The older Chassidim used to say l'chaim to her, and she said l'chaim to them. And they were telling stories about the Rebbe and about the So I remember once somebody sitting on the right-hand side of the Rebbe was telling a story about the Rebbe.
Yeah.
On the left side was another one of the elder Chassidim who popped up and he said, yeah, Ibn Yadot given. And the Rebbe didn't look at him, didn't see him, didn't hear him. And I thought that she didn't hear. When she finished with the one on the right hand side, she turned to the left and she said, the Rebbe so-and-so wasn't doing whatsoever. And I saw then that her mental attitude was exactly like the Rebbe's.
Say it again. What he said?
I saw that her mental attitude was the same as the Rebbe's.
She had the same personality and
right.
nuance like the Rebbe. Okay.
When somebody spoke to the Rebbe and somebody else got involved, the Rebbe didn't hear him until he finished. Wherever he was entirely there. And one time, she asked that somebody should start the Rebbe's father's song, the Rebbe's song, and none of the elders remember it. And I was in the kitchen preparing for bison at that time. So she said, Ruf Talevsky, Evet Gedenken.
Ruf Talevsky, Evet Gedenken.
Yeah.
So I just want to say what Rabbi Alevsky said, that he said that there was a Farbrengen twice a year that the elder Chassidim used to come to the Rebbetzin Chana. Once Yidalef Nisan and one Chafov. And the Chassidim used to sit around the table and they used to Farbrengen and the Rebbetzin used to say l'chaim to them. They would tell stories and they would tell l'chaim to the Rebbetzin. So one time the Rebbetzin asked that they should start the Nigen of Reb Leivik, and the elder Chassidim didn't remember the Nigen. So Rabbi Alevsky was in the kitchen preparing the food for the Farbrengen. So she said, call Alevsky, Ruf Talevsky, he will know the Nigen.
When I was working in Tzach, all my letters that I sent out or received went to the Rebbe's office. And the Rebbe used to send them out very quickly. Sometimes 10, 15 minutes I would get everything back. and I would send in the letter with a carbon copy, and the Rebbe made many times corrections on the carbon copy, never on the original. One time I got about 20 letters, which at that time was a tipper on the better senators, congressmen, hero directors, and so on. And I put that into the Rebbe.
I didn't understand. What you said? What was, you got a letter and what?
From congressmen, from hero directors.
One time I got a whole pack of about 20 letters.
Yeah.
So I attached my response and I entered it to the Rebbe. But this time the Rebbe did not send it out.
Okay.
That was 11 in the morning.
Okay.
So I figured the Rebbe sends out before Mincha, minus and nothing. Before Mariv, nothing. After Halakov went in and out, nothing. So I was sure that the Rebbe made a lot of Hagoyas and took it home.
Yeah.
Next morning, Rabbi Klein called me and said, your package is out. Your package is out.
Yeah.
I went over to the market and I checked. There was not one order or Hagoy on any one of those 20 letters.
Wow.
So I didn't understand why the Rebbe kept it so long. Anyway, I got it back, so I went to the Rebbe to show her because she always wanted to see those kind of letters. She looked at the package and she half smiled. So I said, Rebbe, what is the problem? So she said, I don't know if I should tell you. So I said, Rebbe, if you didn't know, you wouldn't have told me that. And it's so like, so she started laughing very strongly. And she said the Rebbe already showed it to her last night. That's why he kept it overnight.
So say it again. The Rebbe what? The Rebbe?
Already showed her the letters last night. That's why he kept it overnight.
Also, the Rebbe showed the Rebbetzin the letters that came from people and your answers.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wie ist heute die Zeit, was der Rebbe gemacht hat? Goes well, label.
That was?
You said always when you send in, the Rebbe send out and gemacht hat goes, right?
Yeah, many times.
So how come on this peckle there was nothing? How do you type that is?
The Rebbe didn't have anything to comment, period. Mm-hmm. But other times, many times, very often, the Rebbe taught me how to write letters. One time the Rebbe circled a paragraph and he wrote on the side, Mother Mason. I read the letter and you don't need it. Another time he wrote called Mason, but it's very interesting. When I first started to work in South, I was Chesman Chobeid. And that was right after Tishrei, so there was a lot of activities. So David Raskin asked me to prepare the news bulletin, recording the various activities and the series and so on. I did. And, and I ended up with a 40-page booklet. When the Rebbe sent it back to me, that the first time he wrote on the original first page, and he said the following: Lamreis ha'orosi lehagia, וכן ביחד עם המזכירוס, בו בכמה מכנס הדרש האורו ותיקון, ציינתי מה שנראה לי בחיפושם. When I checked the pages, 27 of them were Muga. Not Bechipozen. Am I clear?
Rebbe said that he wrote Bechipozen very fast, what he thought needs to be Magia, and the there were 37 pages Muga with Agoas. 27 pages.
Including spelling mistakes, like Alexander. I don't remember how, I think I read it with the Kuf, and the Rebbe corrected with the call. One of the reports from the Nasias, I wrote, Yes Natayan Misipuk, which in Hebrew means satisfactory. The Rebbe circled it and said, Mishtameya Lishtepon. In Israel, Mishtameya Lishtepon.
Mishtameya Lishteponim.
Yeah, in Israel, Sipuk means positive. In Chutzot, it could be doubt.
That has a double meaning.
Yeah. But
what else do you remember from the Rebbetzin Chana, Rabbi Levsky?
When
did she told you stories about the Rebbe?
She did, but I don't remember. She was quite open with me, but I don't remember. I remember one thing. When my first daughter was supposed to be born, the one in Argentina.
Yeah.
She was born on Vov. So a few days before that, a week before that, my wife went to sleep with the Rebbetzin because her lady went away and she wouldn't take just anybody. On Wednesday, before she had the baby Shabbos, she apparently had false labor pains and she was crashing all night. Next morning, Thursday, the Rebbe called me and she said, Nein, dein Weib war weg von da. Sie noch da haben dem Kind bei mir. But I know,
Rebbetzin Chana said, basically, Rabbi Levsky's wife was when she was pregnant with her first baby, she was staying with the Rebbetzin Chana because the lady who used to always stay in the Rebbetzin Chana's house was not available to be there. So she, it was a mamish a few days before she had the baby, and she was all night she was like resting and quetching. So the Rebbetzin Chana called Rabbi Levsky in the morning, and she said, "Take your wife home before she's going to have the baby in my house." And Shabbos she had the baby.
Yeah, but I know that she has nobody else because she wouldn't take just anybody to stay with her. So my wife and her sister, the Rebbetzin like to stay with them. So I said to the Rebbetzin, a better place to have my baby, I cannot imagine.
You said, there's no better place to have the baby than in your house.
Right. And the Rebbetzin did not respond because she had nobody else to replace her. And my wife slept that Thursday night as well. Friday morning, the Rebbetzin called me, take your wife and drinking complex. A wife from a husband on Shabbos, I'm not prepared to take her away, so come and take her away. So I did that. My wife went home, and before she went home on Friday, she said to the Rebbetzin that tomorrow, Shabbos, she will come to clean up the dishes from the table after the Rebbe comes to make kiddush for the Rebbetzin. The Rebbe used to come about 4 o'clock. Anyway, Shabbos morning she had the baby. So I prepared a speech that my wife apologized she couldn't come. Anyway, when I came back from the hospital, I was able to see the Rebbe walking out from 770 after davening. And I walked up the steps and I told him that my wife had a baby and that we plan to give her a name Sora after the mama Sora, which is my wife's grandfather. The Rebbe looked at me and he said, see that question. Very.
Say it again. Say it again. What?
The Rebbe looked at me with such an eye and said, very proper thing. And he added, at that time it was not yet known to do it. It was Shabbos. You would never go, and later it became a custom for the first Kriya as well. Anyway, so after I said it to the Rebbe went to his mother. An hour later, I came to take off the dishes. As soon as I opened the door, she greeted me with Mazel Tov.
Oh, the Rebbetzin Chana greeted you with Mazel Tov.
As soon as she opened the door, yeah. I prepared the whole speech that my wife cannot come, and she already. When we got engaged, the first thing we did, me and my wife, because we were both close to the Rebbetzin, so as soon as we went out of the Yahrzeit, we went to the Rebbetzin to tell her about it. When we came there, my wife was sleeping there, so I let my wife go first. The Rebbetzin stood in the door and did not move, and smiled and said, "Only get the mouth clear."
Wow.
My wife remembers only get the bones Chassidim get the mouth clear. I remember only get the mouth clear. That was one more interesting thing is when we got engaged, the Rebbetzin gave me a check of $15. I looked at the check and I see Chana Schneerson and M. Schneerson. So I realized it's an account that the Rebbe puts in money so his mother can write checks. So I did not deposit the check. A year later, when my daughter was born, she was born about 11 months later, the Rebbe told me, last year I gave you a check and you did not deposit it. So if it was not enough, I'm giving you now double. And if you're not going to deposit this check either, then I'm not giving you any more check. But later she passed away not long after.
Later what? Later what?
She passed away a few months later.
I don't understand. Later
She
what?
passed, this was Vov of Gimel.
Okay.
And the Rebbetzin passed away.
Oh, she passed away.
Vov Tishrei
Chafei.
My next kid was already Chavei Shvat, and we named her after the Rebbetzin.
Wer hat die Label reingeführt zu der Rebbetzin, hat das wenn bei ihm helper?
Rebbe Raskin. He was in charge of the Rebbetzin house. He and Beverly Unique were helping out.
Rabbi Shimon Lazarov has a very special story with the Rebbetzin on the last Pesach. So maybe Rabbi Lazarov will tell the story. Please, Rabbi Lazarov. Darf ich poshet beten bei dir? So du kannst efter Tona TV und öffnen the window and say some l'chaim and tell us a story. Rabbi Lazarov. Nu? Is Rabbi Lazarov there? Wir meint nicht dem Sohn, wir meint dem Taten. What?
I see his wife's name.
Where's the father? Is he next to you?
No, he's not here.
Oh, he's not there. Okay. Is that true? Don't nicht liken, as er mit Tshuva. What? It's true, Tucker? It's true? Maybe you'll tell the story.
The story is true, but he's not here.
But what is the story? Zog the Meise. Zog do the Meise. What's the story?
Well, I remember the story is that in Tovshin Chov Daled, and Tovshin Chov Gimel, maybe also Tovshin Chov Beis, my father did Dikat Chometz by Rebbetzin Chana, and he was instructed or told or taught that at the end of Dikat Chometz, in Winston, dus haben wir Chasher and Freilich on Pesach, maar zijn leven über een jaar gezond te reten en Freilich gereed. And in Tovshin Chov Daled, when he finished doing Dikat Chometz, he wished a similar bracha, Chasher Freilich on Pesach, etc. And there was the Chana interrupted him and didn't let him finish. And told him, next to Yerzels, Machem Dikas Chometz by Zichen Stub.
Wow.
So 6 months later, of course, it's Vov Tishrei Chof Hey. And my parents got married a few weeks before Pesach of the following year in Chof Hey.
Wow. That's Amir the Kemaisa. Thank you. Wow. Rabbi Shmotkin, we can't hear you. Rabbi Shmotkin, you're on mute. Rabbi Shmotkin, we can't understand. Are you talking to the Elam or are you talking to yourself? All right, Rabbi Levsky, continue with the stories. L'chaim, Rabbi Levsky, l'chaim.
Rabbi, psach picha.
Say it again.
Psach picha, I say Shmotkin.
Yeah, I started to say that there is more to Rabbi Lazarov's story. There is the story with the dishes that the Rebbetzin wanted to give him. Why don't you tell the story? And now eventually it came to him. Chaim, why don't you tell the entire story?
I know oftentimes the popular culture is these two stories are told at the same time. But
Alleen gehört zu den Taten zusammen. Alleen gehört zu den Taten zusammen, beide stories.
so get him on the line. I don't know. But it's that he did get, this is from the Rebbetzin Chana through an auction after
Praktisch in China. The Rebbetzin, los op. The Rebbetzin Chana hat ihm gewollt geben, jenem Pesach, hat ihm gegeben, dachte mir, sie geben jenem Pesach. Hat ihm gewollt geben, als oder ist sie gegeben für die Chassidim. Das ihm gewollt geben, whole set of dishes. Und hat nicht gewollt nehmen.
Nicht gewollt nehmen.
Was nehmen von der Rebbetzin ihre Dishes. Also ich dachte mir, die meiste, okay, das kann, eventually, okay, später geworden, der Rebbetzin ist weg. Und die Dishes hat er weggegeben dort, dachte ich mir, mit aller Zähre, wie ist sie dort, wie hat gehabt, yeah. Und eventually, so how did it get to your father? He bought it from there. Anyways, eventually, ich weiß nicht die meiste. Dachte mir, Shimon is off the line. Eventually, it did get to him.
It did get him.
To the auction. Huh?
Wie noch die Stalkers?
Noch die Tage, dat is gewollt nehmen.
Aha.
Sie gewinnen jemals, wenn sie hat ihm gesagt, als weißt du, das haben nicht gelost, das wir mal Wochen, und nächstes Jahr sein bei sich.
Right.
Und hat nicht gewollt nehmen.
Aha.
Sie wünschen, ihre Dishes weggegeben zu, into dort.
Okay, I have Rebbe Lazarov here on the line, and he'll clarify for you exactly what happened. Go ahead, Rebbe
That's
Lazarov.
exactly what I said, Rabbi. I know Rabbi Lazarov.
What do you want to know? What did you want to know?
Tell the old story from beginning to end mit die Dikas Chometz und mit David Raskin, mit allen Meisters. Eben die ganze Meiste von unten bis zum Sofa mit den Dishes und mit allen Sachen.
It was? Was are mices?
You want to know the mice? Rebbetzin Chana, as Dikas Chometz or Levin Ibn Ayor, and told next year sein by Zippenstub, and then something with the dishes. Bis mischt zusammen die zwei Meises mit the dishes mit the next year by Zippenstub. So they want to know the story from beginning to the end.
Okay. None of them was Lebu Raskin.
Can you hear? Everybody can hear?
Yeah. We could hear you. We hear every word.
There you go. Go ahead.
Lebu Raskin, Allah Shalom. Fek sein der Basic Chometz bei der Rebbetzin Chana. Nur das ist ein Rege von Aschliches. Hier kommen sein Bruder David Raskin. Wenn ein Gewinn sehr gut verfeindet, hat mir gefragt, sie soll gewollt sein, der Basic Chometz bei der Rebbetzin Chana. Versteht sich, habe ich auch gleich angehabt auf dem. Und ich habe gesagt, ja, sure. Het mooi gemacht, wenn wir geben ein Protokoll, wie es war und wie viel er geht rein.
Und ich bin gegangen, dort hat beide kommen sein. Dat me gesagt, dass mit Hashem, wie viel Wege es sein, as usually the Rebbe comes to visit the Mammen, Rebbe, will sein treffen dort mit dem Rebbe, weil eben dort mehr oder weniger in der Zeit, die ich kenne, ich kenne das sein, und ich mache alles wie Kitzel, und ich bekomme im ersten Jahr, is iedere week Toshin Chafei. Is Toshin Chaf Dalet? Nee, Toshin Chaf Dalet, ja. The year früher is er binnen gekomen, again, it was uneventful, the protocol given, and he komt rein, the vakantie waar ik ben, obviously is er gedenkt mijn taten, en er gedenkt mijn reden, maar we ongebeden hebben. The protocol is given, als genomen, und gewünschen sich alle Wünscherei. Das ist ein uneventful. Next year, das ist gewesen, das ist ein Törchen auf Gimmel.
Ja, das
ist. Muss man gewünscht ihnen zurück, wenn Törchen auf Gimmel.
Yeah, but that's again uneventful. There's nothing special to it then.
Okay.
Next year, the last year, that's a thing you went up is a before is either my baby guy, let me by your, and that we go give him a sarcastic. Das war belegt, da werden sie Affen. It was a kind of a cover, with a narrow cover with a guitar on a break front. Is in jene Zeiten heint, wo gern anders, aber in jene Zeiten ist ein gewinn Bäschel und ich habe an Sachsach von Krieglers. Also ich komme zum Sof, auf seine 3 Jahre, macht sie, als sie gemacht hat, mit der Hand, ich bin nicht gewinn ein bisschen, keiner gemeint hat, dass sie überledig geworden, ich habe mich gewollt dann mit der Tonne. Sie was sensitive, also ich mache sie mit der Hand, über ein Jahr, bis du mir schon mal, bis du bei dir kommen, dann war sie gestorben. Ich bin gewinn sehr jung. Ich bin gewinn natürlich, 21 Jahren gewinn. Und von der Tafel bin ich bei ihr gestorben. Gewünscht, okay. Gewünscht sich über ja, okay. Die 2 Sachen geschehen. Eine Sache ist, Vov Tishrei Toshin ist doch weg. Und ich habe Chassidim gehad, Toshin Chafei, oder Chafei base. So, ist 2 Sachen geschehen. Erstens, als Mamesh, als ich bin 2 Wochen, als ich bin Mamesh, Vov Tishrei, ist die sehr weg.
Und ich auf Chasse gehabt, Kaffee, auf alles oder Wins. Auf alles oder alles, meine ich. Ist wie man mich gemacht am Eifes. Als nächstes Jahr, hätte ich nach weg. Ist der letzte Pesach, ist schon nach Chasse gehabt. Und ich gemacht, was ist das? It's een kind of wonder. Weil ich auf Chasse gehabt, in der Zeit, was ich will, alle meine, die ganze Kita, alle Chavere meine, dann Geshem Enro, Raske, alles, alle Chavere, was, ich liebe die Juna, ich will meine Chasse gehabt. Auch upon ihm, das ich gewähren, Eidach. Und zweitens, is jemand die nie gewen kan nicht schluches sie gewen an Chabad convention in years time is auction. A Giro mehr. Und die Giro, a gewonnen meine Mama. Und obviously, is hier von Rebbetzin Chana Frisch. Und hier hat die said, und meine Mama hat gewonnen von Giro. Von dem. Und obviously, my mom had das gegeben mir. Ich habe mich viel Yogi gekrogen von die Matane. Ich habe erst gestorben, habe ich die Matane. Aber die Matane was es, ja, ich sehe mich wohl, ja, es ist fertig. Aber viel habe ich gekrogen die Set. Und that is the whole story. Ich will beten mein Sohn Chaim, aber du hast es verfehlt?
No, perfect. Thank you for clarifying the details.
Okay. Ich wusste, du Machliges. Was ich bin der Machliges?
Exactly how the tea set is connected to the story with the B'dikas Chametz, because you didn't get the exact same thing. You got something else from the Rebbetzin. But you got something from the Rebbetzin later on.
Yeah. Was my mama does gekrogen.
Right.
Und sie das obviously geben mir. Aber sie hat mir geoffert das Safetische, die cover über a breakfront. Und ich gekrogen Hotel, it said.
The cover over the breakfront, like a material cover? Like a material cover? What kind of cover?
A material. She had me offered a material tea cover. A cover over the breakfront.
Like a lace cover.
In Europe, it was very, very, very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Even a breakfront had a cover.
So Rabbi Shmotkin, is it clear now?
Huh?
So Rabbi Shmotkin was saying that he Rabbi Shmotkin, is it clear now, the connection?
Yeah, no, I told you. I know it was connected. It was alleen gehoord van Rabbi Lazarov a number of years ago.
Aber mag doch erzählen einander, aber Schmotkin, mag doch erzählen ein anderer Meister von Rebbetzin Chana. Das ist der einzige Meister, was hat. Hat gewinnt der Rebbetzin Chana?
Ich weiß die Meister. Aber es haben noch Meisters. Aber Lazarov is hier so, das auch Meisters.
Aber die Meister wird erzählt für die Rabbi. Vov Tishrei Bamail. Jordan Kriki.
So that's why you're repeating it on this phone call. There's now 78 people on the Zoom. And so you should know whatever story you're going to tell is B'Rabbi.
Fine,
Is niet gezond?
Right.
Is het niet gezond dat je op gas en jaat? Als het niet gezond, als Vov Tishrei is de yahrzeit van de Rebbetzin. Als het niet gezond, als de jaren später, als mijn mama gekrogen die Gero, und sie gekrogen die T-Set. That's it. That's it, the story. You know, all of them are issue.
Simon Shakir there.
Bij dokters?
Van een belle witten. Dein auto gaan.
Was?
Dein auto gaan zal een belle witten.
Oh, zo wel, weet. Ja, oké. We gaan hebben zullen Stevens.
Nee.
Alle gewoon gemaakt gezien met even.
Nee.
En ik ga ik ga tegen je al zijn dat we de bezoek van hem. Maar ik ben daar in Houston. En ging ik de Vov Tishrei. Vov Tishrei genau, maar dat toch was ik vergevans hebben.
Ja, je denkt het gewoon Vov Tishrei.
Ah?
Dus samen komen Vov Tishrei.
Ja.
Einhandelen, echt de aluminium, ik denk.
Ja. Nee, en dat van allemaal is gewend dat je in de alle vlees echt is gewend allemaal. Is er eenmaal gewend, heb slijmer. Iedereen had complaint van Rebbe. En ik komt dan mijn voort van Rebbe in alle vlees. Om een jaar bezig, dat was dat gaat. Dat heb ik van Farbrengen van in alle vlees. Zo'n paar wochen. Haben wir so nicht kommen, dann mal zu gelaufen ist. Und der Rebbe gesagt, so geht dann unter dem Nuss, sei darf kommen, für solche Pesach. Solche Jantef. Und was mache ich eigentlich? Ich komme, sage ich, ist mein Masel. Wir kommen nicht gelaufen, jedem Jahr. Der Rebbe hat dann gesagt, wir sollen nicht kommen. Und wenn wir treffen beim Tier, Hebtier von so einer Sende, nicht anders wie wir auf Halle kommen oder so. Guckte mir an, mein Hai, so geht mir nicht kommen. Aber ich gesagt, das straight face. Und ich komme von solcher Pesach. Wir gehen geben, dort für Ehrenzeiten. Wir gehen geben, dann von Hals, geben Rasmus Fisch. Ich bin schwer. Zijn laatste Mal gezegd, gaat het over zwemmen. En guck toe is, als het dat zo gebeurt. Ik denk je geen moet. Dat is lustig met dat. Maar Farbrengen, en gezegd voor Chaim, die darf wissen, ik dacht dat de Rebbe het verspeeld gedaan. Af morgen is een van die nach dem Sudags Kinder in Engelsberg, die kommen visiten der Rebbetzin, unsere Rebbetzin. Fragt der Rebbetzin, sei, wo ihr das denn? Der Rebbe gesagt, will nicht kommen. Und hat sie gesagt, sei, hat der Rebbetzin nie gemeint, bitte Freund. Aber wir werden in den 7. Himmel. Also, ich konnte das Sibirien. Hat der Rebbe gesagt, hat der Rebbe nie gemeint, guter Freund. Ist auch eine Connection. Das ist erzählte Wein. Ja, das ist die meiste Fall. Hat der Rebbe gesagt, klar gesagt, hat der Rebbe nie gemeint, guter Freund. Das ist die Connection.
Yeah. Tim, it's good to hear your voice. It's good to hear your voice.
Okay. Maar Herr Psurus Davis. Hat Allah gemacht, gezien met even, en een goed jaar.
Schallenberg, wo bist du? Wo bist du? Bist du in Farbrengen?
In Seattle.
In Seattle. Ah, bist du fast bei der Zoom?
Huh?
Okay. You'll have him soon as Davis. No, the Rebbe was Gecher.
Amen. Amen.
Kultus.
Kabbalazarov. Amazing.
Wer?
Mamish Michai given. Michai given. Michai Nefoshes given. Foshes Michai given. You know that the same story happened with Zalman Yafi. As gefragt the Rebbetzin. Zalman Yafi, the Alef Nissen and Beis, it's not a Shmeini, but gefragt the Rebbetzin, Eba Ken Kumen. Who's the Rebbetzin gefragt? So the Rebbetzin told them, as she doesn't think the Rebbe meant him, the Rebbe meant Gute Freund, but he should not complain to her if the Rebbe will give him over the head. So he could come, but she's not taking any responsibility. Toma the Rebbetzin gave off in cup, he should not come complain. But the Rebbetzin told him the same thing as the Rebbe is gemeint Gute Freund. Da finde ich das Shmeini.
Okay. Can you fragen, wer hat es?
Joske, your friend, your young friend, not
Oh,
old friend,
Joske.
young friend.
Und der Rebbe, und allerlei bewusst, dass der Rebbe gehabt, alles hat gute Freund. Alles hat ein Älter. Das ist allemaal Jaffa, älter. Und Joske älter. Heißt es, das Menschen, wie alt du bist. Gute Freund meint gute Freund. Ja. Meine Vetter ist auch mehr gehalten, sie war gute Freund, nach uns gesehen. Ich wollte es auch, wenn ihr alt ist, dann gehalten war gute Freund. Aber der andere Chassidim, ist er von ihr, das ist halt gute Freund. Also, der alte ist gehalten, war gute Freund. Gute Freund meint, wie alt du bist.
Wees toch, Shimon, ich erzählt einmal der Meister, Shimon, du gedenkst,
Aber
als sie gewähnt in Tovshin, wenn der Vierige was angekommen in Amerika,
ja,
der Pesach hat mir gegangen in Lakewood. Er gewährt den Weg geben den Stub von Vierige Rebbe.
alright.
Da sind alle mitgefahren. Aber man weiß schon, ich sind die alle reingefahren. Wir sehen, der gewähnt, die ist eigentlich bei den Vierige Rebbe, hat der Rebbe Vierige Rebbe auch getan, verkehrt, er hat die Übergebenkeit von den Leuten als Orgelast kommen, dann mitgegangen, wo der Rebbe die Vierige Rebbe gegangen, dann ist mitgegangen. Hat er gedacht, die Wort, aber ich weiß nicht, so dass eine gute Freundschaft so ist Kasches. Ich weiß nicht, dass
Die Friedrich hat das gesagt.
ja, zum Leben. Wenn er Wort,
Was?
ich weiß nicht, dass eine gute Freundschaft so ist Kasches.
Wer hat das gesagt? Die Friedrich Rebbe?
Zum Leben, ja. Man kennt der Gerät beschwach von die Ilu und die Schwachen von die, wo dann als Orgelot gelassen. Der Spruch ist, ich komme, wo der Rebbe viel gegangen, der gegangen der ersten Zeiten. Aber da hat er getan, ich weiß nicht, dass eine gute Freundschaft so ist Kassus. Das ist eine Sage wegen der Wort.
Als ja, Jontef.
Auf Pesach, ich komme auf Pesach.
Ah,
Pesach Tovshin.
okay.
Eine gute Freundschaft und dann ist Kassus.
Ja. Ja, Mim.
Shimon,
Was?
good to hear your voice.
Gut? Ah, hier? Wie viel schlug man davon versuchen?
Yeah, they were close to 100 tonight.
100. Yes, hè?
Now it's 75, 80 at each state. Label Alevsky, there was noch da. Label. Went down.
Label who?
Label Alevsky given off. Your friend.
Ah, yeah.
I have,
Label, say good word. Label.
I have a great picture of Rabbi Alevsky and my father in France,
In Bruno.
in Renoir.
Is er van Novish.
Should I put it on the screen?
Dat de liter in gemaakt dat niet van Novish. Shalti meis Hashem.
So the zinction is good.
Shifti bevis Hashem kol yemei chayai. Lazes v'neim Hashem l'akir v'hei Lazes v'neim Hashem l'akir v'hei Lazes v'neim Hashem l'akir v'hei Ki yiz v'neini ay v'sukei v'yemro Yasteini v'seiser alei Bizur yireim meni On this clavel Askir Allah tziyeh Upon this clavel Askir Allah tziyeh Askir Allah tziyeh Ve'yival serdei Achazaldi Ay meis Hashem Oy Zavakesh Shivdi beveis Hashem Lazes v'nei Hashem Lager v'hei chalei Ki yiz v'nei Aydat nezer zukei v'yemro Yastreini v'seiser alei V'tzuri reimeni Anis kavo Askir Allah tziyein Askir Allah tziyein Vival sertei Yoy ay ay
Abelazar, what is the suffer in the end of the Nigun Askir Alatzin Vaser Tape? What is that they suffer? What are you referring to?
The Sophie when no them no Himul Thomas. See, no Himul Thomas how the Sophie keeps beneath Suki Vimero. Chovbeis Topshin Chovbeis in Bruna with an Yeni Golas is young UN nor not the Ashter busy spelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ze hebben een van die schoenen in Houston in Toffen geweest. Een van die was een nieuwe Amerikaanse mamas. Dan gaat ze iemand echt aangekomen te worden. Maar je gaat als een immigrant. Een green card. A green card.
Yeah.
Je geeft 6 months, 3 maanden nog zelfs geen consulaat om renewen de green card. Ik ging van binnen zu vorn zum Rebbe, zu zu Paris ist gewesen, und die Kanzel hat die gewesen offen von 12 bis 2 vermacht. Altijd vermacht. En we komen dat in Paris, is in 12 Uhr vermacht. En ik gesessen dat in het park, in Saint-Jean-de-Gère. En ik gesessen dat in gewacht dat bis 2 Uhr, als we even een keer die kansel had. Het is in Gordon, ja, ieder wetter. Heb je dat niet op zak gegeven bij de Fransezen. Heel vervelend. Dat is met deren daar. En die vliegen, en die brigade, omdat die zwemmen. En zie je heel, en je ziet dat, en je ziet dat in Griezen, in Parijs, en dan gewaard, gewoon zeer voor een klik zo hebben, Vov Tishrei. En als ik doe, kun je met 5 afnazen. En dan komt hij ongeveer in de hel. Maar je zingt je dem niet. Ja. Achar shal gimeis Hashem Oizavakesh Shivti beveis Hashem Kol yemei chayai Lo zeiz beneim Hashem Lakei v'yei chalei Ona iets beneni Wil voor ons worden heel de gesteld. En dan ik kwam met de aragen, met voor Christians. What do I get? Coming back to hell. En daarna, de brief. Een brief van Maschines. Yahrtzeit die gekomen. En we zo. Ik kan komen naar hem. Ik heb dan waarschijnlijk af mijn dingen. En ik kan voor naar hem. En dan gaat een brief uit de hem. Dus ik kan niet nog allen. En hij hoort het. Was we zo ontoon. En geen versteeg wat er staat dan. Niet altijd ook helemaal verstaan heeft van een brief. Wie had ik voor, de Rebbe schrijft in de Maschines. Als hier, dat de immense zijn dat, ze is in de Igris is een stof, als het niet een brief van Rebbe, het is een brief van Maschines. Als we artikel, en we zullen voor ieder, en we zullen die alle doegim was hem, voor zeer Ulis Habruches, we zijn dat niet meer, we zullen masleren, en we zullen überall dalen duchim zu die Rischke, und sie hat alle Regiere, und die Bochen, wir sind dort nicht geblieben, sollen Mamsche sein, die sehr Polis, wir sind getan, für die Zeit, wir sind gewähnt, die Geist war Tikvo, wir sind gewähnt, der Rebens, Xaviat, wir hat Tikvo, als wir so Mamsche sein, die Polis, Habruches, was sie getan. Und ich kenne das als 2 van sie sollen fahren durch Italien und 2 van sie sollen fahren durch England und wie im Efter 2 van sie sollen fahren durch Copenhagen.
I brought up the letter you're talking about, Tati, and you can see the article, the Xaviat.
Net de Rebbe's Xaviat Kedesh, the surface of the brief.
The Gimel, yeah.
Gam Eile und der Artikel.
Der Artikel. Und die Hoffnung, der wird zugeführt. Ungefähr, ich sag jetzt, die Woche, die 3 Wochen, wir sind geblieben, hier noch 3 Wochen, die Ältere, die übrigen in England. Und manchmal werden unsere Polis. Noch in andere gute Teile werden Das ist nicht geblieben, das ist zum Rebbetzin Chana oder so. Ja, Tikva. Und wir hoffen, dass ein Mann soll sein und Rebbe ist. Und guess what? Mein Talmud, damals ist auch noch viel mehr von mir. Aber Asimov, Muli Asimov, mein Talmud nur wegen Futzmieres.
Ich in Iskashres.
Ah?
In Iskashres Eichet.
Sie sind damit da. Wenn ihr die gewendet und alle Englisch, 13, 14, 15, haben noch gesagt, ein Gimel. Ich ein Gimel. Aber sie gesagt, was ist ein Gimel? Was sagt denn kein von Alberem? Ach ja, schon nicht. Wie darf man so nun Gimel? Aber von ihm, meine Talmidim, die gewinnt der Kredit, die Chevle. Aber speziell, Muli Asimov, die mein Talmud nur weg. Ich habe sie wir haben sie introduced, die Vov, mit alles Nissen. Aber vorher, ich komme zu einem Gast zu uns. Hier in Mendel, in Italien. Mit alles Nissen. Und dann gehen unser General. Wir sagen, die Foot Soldiers. Yeah.
But the picture of you with Olevsky and Weinstock is not that time. That's much younger.
No, it was winter.
That was way before the Shluchas.
Huh?
That was way before the Shluchas.
What?
The picture of you with Olevsky and Weinstock is way before the Shluchas, no?
What should be reported?
It was before the Shluchas.
No, yeah, that's the class.
Right.
Het was voordat ik kom de eerste bal zo hebben.
Dus ik ben net een stroom.
Dat is de ingang.
Ik ben in Parijs, dus ik ben net een stroom.
No, the picture is in France or Rebbe.
What time?
Good man.
Where did
embassy?
Where did Rebbe Olevsky
Summer
go?
embassy. The summer embassy van de Amerikanen van Amerika.
What year did your father go to Israel? Fine.
What you say?
What year did he go to Israel?
He's asking, what year did you go to Israel?
What year I came to Israel?
Yeah.
I came to
He came from Israel to America. What year did you leave Paris to go to Israel?
Als een kind.
What year I came to Israel?
Yeah, from Paris.
From Rusland. No.
To Paris I came in Tafshin.
No.
You went to Zion.
Then there was gekommen.
You come from Rusland.
You came to Paris, and then from Paris you went to Kfar Chabad. What year did you leave from Paris to Kfar Chabad? Noch in jene erste Jahr im Onkom von Russland. What year was it?
De eerste morgen ik kwam van Parijs naar Israël.
Yeah, how old were you?
Ik was misschien op dezelfde als 4
I know what you told us. I'm asking you a different question, because I want to nail down this picture. I think you got a confusion on the picture.
Where's Rebbe Olevsky? I talked to him about it once. The picture of you, Olevsky, and Weinstock in France.
I don't think
that was in Tafshin. That was in Tafshin, Yud Zion, the year of Tafshin Yud Zion.
That was on the way to America?
And Lag Beimer, Sof, on the meeting Tafshin Yud Ches, when you come to Rebbe.
My note says that it was winter Tafshin Yud Ches. Rebbe Olevsky. There's a question if it's Safranovich or if it's Weinstock. and Shimon Lazarov. That's what my notes say on this picture.
Weinstock?
Rabbi Elevsky thinks that's Weinstock.
No, it's Safranovich.
Safranovich?
Yeah. And Safranovich,
There's no
Alevsky.
Who's the guy in Rabbi Elevsky? Bring him
Huh?
back. If they bring Rabbi Elevsky back on the Zoom, where is he?
It's Farbrengen, so it's very good. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that's Alevsky for sure. No question about it.
Rebbe Alevsky und ich und der Safranovich haben gehen in derselbe Zeit in Brno in that year. Von Erzisroel auf dem Weg zum Rebbe.
Oh, das ist again from Weg. Now, with after Eretz the first time, on your way to
In Erzisroel bin ich gefahren in Topshin Tess.
good. That's
Russland, von
this
Paris.
is on your way to New York. On your way to New York, later.
Huh?
This is on from Weg to New York from Kfar Chabad.
Auf dem Weg zu New York, ich went Topshin Zayin.
Okay, that's where this picture.
Topshin.
This is the picture.
Huh?
This is the picture. Or it's in.
The picture is the winter Topshin Zayin.
Okay, auf dem Weg noch. Okay.
Auf dem Weg zu Amerika.
Ja.
Jemals bin ich 7 Chadoshim gewesen in Paris, in Brno.
Okay. First time, yeah.
Rebbe Alevsky und dann gehen zusammen in Paris, in Brno. Später gehen zusammen in New York, beim Rebbe.
Ja. Ik denk wenn du bist angekommen.
Was?
Ik denk wenn du bist angekommen, wenn ich Ingel, mein Tate, die geben einen Lift to Bedford.
Was?
In Onheit bist du gegangen in Bedford und Dien.
Ja, weil ich bin zu jung.
I know. I
Okay,
remember my father gave you a lift together to meet the school. I remember.
Your father, he came with what?
He gave you
A
a lift.
lift, a tramp, but they gave him a ride.
Right. He gave you a ride. You don't remember.
Okay. Aber ich dort gehen nur 2 Nächte. Weil ich durchhalten. Und in Bett war. Weil ich jedes Mal, wenn der ist dort immer jendig, wenn ich gehe zu Fuß von Bedford zu 770 und dann geschlafen auf der Bank. Lemon Tier, Lemon das. Und ich habe sicher gewesen, aber in jenem Sommer, weil ihm dort nicht gewesen, dass die Rebbe Raskin und nach dem Sudak und Baruch Shalom haben gedruckt Stichen an Jonim, die grüne Siches. Und ich habe verkauft das zu, like, ich weiß damals, ich schwarz, aber verkauft zu dem Elam, Farbrengen, die Siches a Planikl, a Kapi. Ich bin ja gewesen der Salesman. Und war ihm dort geschlafen auf der Bank. Tegen den Jonim. Grüne Siches.
Yeah, beginning.
Im Staat die Kapis steht angebunden, gebunden in Krach. Tegen den Jonim. Zijn ook de Siches. Ja. Jeske,
Yeah.
gedenkst?
What?
Du gedenkst die alle meisjes?
Ich habe das erzählt. I remember.
Huh?
Ich habe deine Ratal mit Moving, weißt du doch.
Ja. Ich will doch dein Schaffen. Links?
I remember that too. You know, Shimon, Berl Futterfeld erzählt am Meise, ihr Hirschimmen. Erzählt am Meise, als einmal, fängt reingeht zu der Rebbetzin Chana. Fängt helfen dort, nicht
Ja.
Und einmal ist gewann bei Rebbetzin Chana und der Rebbe ist rein. Ist rein in Kitchen, in Kirch. Und der Rebbe ist rein und der Rebbe fragt der Rebbetzin Chana, wer ist in Kirch? Und der Rebbetzin Chana gesagt,
Rebbetzin Chana.
Rebbe fragt der Rebbetzin Chana, wer ist in Kirch? Hat gesagt, und der Rebbetzin gesagt, Futterfass. Und der Rebbe gesagt, ich hab doch einen Gruß von ihm, von seinen Taten. Ist er Ruiz? Ist er Ruiz? Und der Rebbe hat ihm gegeben einen Gruß von Remendeln, von einem Brief, der ich kann von ihm. Oder ich weiß nicht, was gewinnt in die Kude, aber er gesagt, er hat einen Gruß von Taten. War noch eine Meise, was mit erzählt, Beschmei, als ich hatte gewinnt nach Chassidim, und hat er getroffen, treffen sich, hat er getroffen. Aber der Rebbetzin Chana hat ihm gesagt, als ich würde sagen, etwas wirst du folgen. Hat er gesagt, der wenn sich was. Hat sie gesagt, also er trifft sich mit, also er verkatschen die Boot, er hat ein großes Boot, go ein großes Boot.
Ja, ja.
Hat er nicht gewollt, genau. Hat der Rebbetzin gesagt, der Sohn verkatscht dich in der Zeit, wenn der Rebbe verkatscht die Boot.
Okay. Das ist so von Meise.
Das ist Sefer Meise.
Yeah, you got a special cricket board. Ja. Wenn het Gassen gehad, is een Kalle, is geen voor de eerste Shidduchim, was gered met Biremozim, was zit ik op Worske er zit nog gered,
Englisch.
ja, er zit nog gered van dem, van zijn Coliko.
Die gewähren von was? What do you say?
Van de Talmides, zijn geen van de Talmides van Uriel Zimmer. Ineens?
Und sie gerät noch Englisch, was?
Het is nog Engels. Ja, dat is geen tak, ik vermis. Dat is een pinjekorf. Op Coliko. Je ziet, ik redt nog Engels. En hij redt nog Indisch. Had ik gered met Tremozem.
Er bleib all time. Efter erzählt dir etwas von der Rebbetzin Chana. Ich habe den gesehen, der Rebbetzin Chana, nicht Stamme. Richtig? Er bleib all time. Gesehen der Rebbetzin Chana? Nein? Nie gesehen?
Was was?
Er bleib all time ist auf dem Zoom. Ich erzähle etwas von der Rebbetzin Chana. No?
Aha.
Ich habe Stamme gesehen, nicht der Rebbetzin Chana, bei all time. Even toen, ik ken niet sterren even toen de Zoom. Maar bij all time. No?
Je lebt open op een Zoom?
Het is op een Zoom. Alle heren zich zu deine Wörter, Shimon. Alle deine Talmidim. Wir sind alle deine Talmidim, Reb Shimon.
Wer? Lebt open?
Alle.
Wer zijn aan mijn Talmidim? Geef me dat.
Maar altijd, nu. Reb Leibel. Er is een woord van Vov Tishrei, van Asiche. Leibel, nu. Nu, Rabbi Lazaro, bis Rabbi Olten machen sein, was zu sagen, kannst du mal sein verbringen. Mit Macher von Rabbi Olten, stammen. Faran Amir de Kevot, Shimon, you hear? Faran Amir de Kevot, der Rebbetzin Chana's Regimes. Sie sagt, der Rebbe ist erster Ruiz von ihr Apartment, von ihr Stub. Und sie sagt, dass der Rebbe ist in der Apartment guckt ist eine Sache größer, wie sie ist. Und das schreibt sie. Und wenn der Rebbe ist in ihr Apartment, guckt es so, ist ein grünes Apartment. Und der Rebbe geht da ruhig, wird das ein kleiner. Das schreibt sie. Die alle, was sind gewähnt am Rebbe, wissen, was das meint. Richtig, aber Levitum.
Ja.
Mit der Rebbetzin Chana, ich bin der erste Chassid von Rebbe. The way she describes the Rebbe, Rabbi Lazarov, you remember how the Rebbetzin Chana used to go out every Shabbos, used to go into the Rebbe's room, and the Rebbe used to balaten here every Shabbos? You remember that?
Oh, yeah. Nou, dan hebben we gegaan dat jeden avond, dat doe je gegaan, en doe je een raskes visster. We hebben alle gestaan van Goes, want de Rebbe geht da durch. We hebben alle gestaan gewacht bij de venster. De Rebbe geht da durch. Ja. Ja.
Very snap, Kingston Avenue.
Ja. Is het zo smotje af van Zoom?
Wir sehen nicht, aber wir stammen es auf den Sohn. One of the most amazing stories the Rebbetzin Chana tells, Yuman is about the Bar Mitzvah from Rebbe. Bar Mitzvah from Rebbe, der gewinnt Shabbos, der Alafnisse gewinnt Freitag, Ayin Hey. And the Rebbetzin Chana, in two places in the Rishimas, she tells the story of the Rebbe's Bar Mitzvah. And that itself is a meridike, the way the Rebbetzin describes the story. And the Rebbetzin says there how the Bar Mitzvah was in the house, in the Rebbe's house, in Rebbe Levik's house, and the men were in one room, the women were in the other room. The Rebbe Levik had a big house, and then she describes as the scene how everything was fine, and then all of a sudden she saw people coming out of the bar mitzvah crying. So she was trying to look into the room, she couldn't because everyone was looking to the Rebbe and Rebbe Levik, and they were basically she couldn't see anything. They were covered. And the Rebbetzin Chana was trying to understand what's going on. And finally people came out saying that the Rebbe Levik is asking something from the Rebbe to promise him, and the Rebbe is refusing to promise. And that took a few hours until finally the Rebbe promised them, and then they went dancing. Then the Oil went dancing. And she says how she writes about the Rebbe Levik, how the Ashpoah for Rebbe Levik, that Shad Rebbe Levik and the Rebbe were crying, the whole Eilam was crying. Shad they were dancing, the whole Eilam was dancing. And even though the people, the way she writes, nobody understood what it's about, but they felt and she said how they were so nispol that a young bar mitzvah kid is so oisgerechen, so calculated that he doesn't want to give a promise. And for hours, he wouldn't give the promise because he's so calculated on every move of his, and he had to think about it before he could give the promise. And she writes it twice in the Yaman. She never said what it was. What was the dinner dvorim between Rebbe Levik and the Rebbe? But she writes how the ashpoah of the Rebbe and Rebbe Levik, and she could see that her iskashos was just unbelievable. Her yahrtzeit some Rebbe. So if there is anything from Vov Tishrei was mit darf a weggehen von dem Tag, is the erste Sache, is the Rebbetzin Chana is kasha zum Rebbe, and her Ibergemkeit zum Rebbe. Chaim, Rabbi Oltein. Nur zu sagen, Psavot, Rabbi Oltein. Chaim. Nur Rabbi Lazarov. You have
meiste mit der erzählt, aber wo ist der meiste?
Yeah, well, yeah. Have you heard more details about it?
Punkt und cada Jahr wissen was noch gerät. Was hat nie gewendet, was related you eingebettet vom Rebbe. Was gewend, Kinder wissen, wir treffen sich. Wir treffen, was gewend. Was für whatever believe you go for him was finally at the zugesagt. Those two years was again okay?
No, but I've never heard, no.
Oh.
Lately, Rabbi David Dubov erzählt ein Geschmack im Eisef von Osher Nikolaiev's Sohn, Reb Osher Grossman.
Ja.
Als Reb Osher Grossman gewinnt einmal bei Reb Leivik in Stub, a Shabbos. Und der Rebbe gewinnt ein junger Bocher jemals. Und hat gerät stark verbracht mit dem Rebbe, aber davor in Lubavitch. So sehen wir Rebbe nicht mal sehen. Und der Rebbe gesetzt und eine ganze Zeit geschwiegen. Und sie kommen mit der Shabbos noch auf Dolle. Und ich sagte zu der Rebbe, nu, du kommst mit mir. Und der Rebbetzin Chana said, reißt sich vorn, aber der Tate lässt nicht. And the Rebbe is like dying to go. Reißt sich. But the Rebbe Leivik doesn't let.
Okay.
There is in the Sefer L'Shem HaEzen, that's your favorite book, right? L'Shem HaEzen. Right, Shimon? L'Shem HaEzen,
Was?
the Sefer L'Shem
Yeah.
HaEzen, Zalman Duchman. Und hat geschrieben, kiemat der Faran Sacha Goes von Rebben auf the stories in sein Sefer. Auf dem Chelik habe ich nicht gesehen, kein Goy. Aber Faran in sein Sefer erzählt, als eine von den Farbrengen, der Rebbe gewähnt, von der ersten Farbrengen in Leningrad, hat der Friedrich Rebbe gesagt dem Rebbe, als der größte Rachmones, hat sich gewähnt in Lubavitch. Und so, Zalman durch mein Reiz, so, was da getinkt in myself, wie kommt das, oder Bleivik, und gewähnt solch ein Mekusher, zum Rebbe nicht mehr sehen, solch ein Chassid, hat Shaykh, he didn't take the Rebbe to Lubavitch. And then immediately he said, at the month, the Sichim taking the Baal Shem Tov with the Alten Rebbe. The Baal Shem Tov said to Magid, at the Tonish then, the Alten Rebbe cannot come to Baal Shem Tov, he has to be by the Magid only. But the Gechabt, at das the selbe Biu, and he gave some Rebbe, and the Friedrich Rebbe, that the Rebbe had to be Mekusher to Friedrich Rebbe, and not to Rebbe Nishma Seiden. And it's printed in his book, and we all know that the Rebbe Mamish, there are many Agoyes in the Rebbe on that book. That Chelik nicht, I didn't see Agoy, but that book was by the Rebbe's hand way before it was printed. So it's mashma, das ist Dr. Dabir. Even though Zalman Duchman schreibt es me'atzmai, but L'chaim Rabbi Lazarov, L'chaim.
L'chaim L'chaim. Kocht zich aan dem. Proef hem. Shmuel kocht zich in die meise.
In the Meise von der Bar Mitzvah?
Nee, mit dem was op punten de Alte Rebbe mit Magid, mit Baal Shem Tov, en ze heeft weer met de Rebbe Rashab.
Yeah. The pale the Rebbe used to call the Rebbe Rashab, the Rebbe Nishma Seiden.
Alright.
Richtig. The Friedrich Rebbe called the Rebbe the Shver, but the Rebbe Nishma Seiden, he called the Rebbe Rashab.
Alright. Yeah.
With eine von den Briefen was nisgal geworden in Ekaterinoslav by Kamenetsky 20 years ago, was man nicht gewusst, Farbrengen und Tammuz, es waren ein paar Briefen von Rebbe Nishma Seiden zu Rebbe Leivik. Einer von den Briefen ist ein mehr dicke Brief, Mamisch a unbelievable letter von Rebbe Shmotein zu Rebleviken von Tofrisch ein Sein. Jemult gewinnt die Jo, beschaß gewinnt der Ave Amine, als geht sein Chefesh, Freedom in Russland. Geht Elections, von alle Miflagot, geht eine Democracy. Und der Rebbe Shmotein geschrieben einen Brief zu Rebleviken, und schreibt zu ihm, es ist ein mehr dicke Brief, es ist mamisch unbelievable. Von Milosi Amurov, mamisch hat ein Brief, als Bisman Hazeh, die einzige Sache, was können so ist halten von dem Golus, ist der Afotzes Amayones von Chassidus. Und der Fall, hat genommen sechs Rabbonim, sechs Gräse von Rabbonim von Anash, als jeder einer soll anheben, mehr für sein Chassidus in sein Region. Und der Rebleviken ist ein Mann auf Yekaterinoslav in der ganzen Region. Und wir sollen nehmen Menschen, und so eine Rufung von Stadt zu Stadt, und wir sollen Poshet reden Chassidus. Und das ist der einzige, Amerika loschen dort, als mit dem wird man gehen zu Mashiachen. Das ist der Brief, was in Isgale geworden, der 20 Jahre zurück. Now,
Was war der Brief?
Der Brief allein ist von ein Sein. Das ist der Brief, wenn sie gewähnen Avamina, sie geht sein Chefesh in Russland. Sie geht an Democracy. Und der Rebbe Shmotein schreibt einen Brief, als nicht behemschicht, was hat Almo getan, die Unionen von Aveide, mit Kulis Atfilik, und Chassidim, das ist alles für Chassidim. Dort gerät wegen ganz Welt. Wegen alle Iden. Aber man darf gehen von Stadt zu Stadt, reden Chassidim für alle Iden. Und das ist nicht geht zu Bias HaMashiach. Now, in Biton Chabad, ich fand einen Artikel von Sasonkin, der alte Sasonkin. Wird geheißen, Shmerel Sasonkin. Und das ist gewesen ein Kinus von Chassidei Chabad, und dann bist du gewesen bei dem Kinus von Tov Shin Tezvov, Titezain, etwas also, mamisch in der ersten Jahren. Und es war ein Speech dort, ein gedruckter Speech, wo es Reb Shmerel Sasonkin gerät zum Kinus von Chabad, Chassidei Chabad. Was ist der Kinus? Als tracht, erzählt am Meise. Als gewesen ein Gemann in der Katrinoslav, in Tofrisch ein Sein. Und Rebbe hat ihm gerufen mit noch Atomim und hat ihm gesagt, als sie kommen einen Brief von Rebbe Shmotein, damit darf umgehen von Stadt zu Stadt zu reden Chassidus. Besser von ihm machen eine Tochnit, machen ein ganzes Programm, wie kämen, was Chassidus soll man reden und wie soll man rumgehen in die Städtlach und was soll das tun. Und hat zugeredet, eine ganze Sache, eine ganze Tochnit. Und hat ein bisschen Tonne. Und jemand die gleich gekommen, die Kommunisten, und die ganze Sache Bottle gewonnen. Sie gewonnen, ois Frieden, ois Meises. Und er sagt dort, als Efscher, wo der Rebbe hat angegeben, mit sehr gutes Chabad, der Rebbe meint, wir sollen mamschig sein, das, was wird angegeben, wo der Rebbe später gewonnen, wir sollen angegeben, mit Thomas ein sein. Und ist das in Isgal gewonnen, der Brief, sieht man mamisch, als er starke ist zum Rebbe Shmotein, wegen der Ihnen von Mashiach, als die Ihnen von Hotzam das bringt man Mashiach. Und der Rebbe gewinnt jemand der Bocher in der Katrinoslav. Das ist ein Brief, was ich konnte Rebleviken nicht tun. Das ist interessant, aber man sieht, als der ganze Ihnen von Hotzam ist gut so, zu geben, Davke in das Mann, wo sie gewinnt der Opportunity for Democracy. Und danach hat sie übergegangen in Amerika, wo sie bei ihm ist gefahren in Democracy. Aber man sieht, der Minion, dass der Rebbe hat angegeben, das erzählt jemand in ein Kinus von Chassidei Chabad, gedruckt in Beton Chabad, der Meise. Aber ist dann gar der Brief von Rebbe Shmotein. Man sieht klar, ein offener Brief, ist dort der Ksabet Kedesh. Man ist jetzt unbelievable. Man sieht klar, der Linie von der Apostel von Mayones ist nicht geht zum Mashiach, ist geworden, der ihnen geworden, darf ich ein Sein, und wir bald sie nicht gewinken, sie geworden Kommunismus, hat sich auch gehalten darin, und sie geworden noch einmal, ja, die kommen zur Yahrtzeit Woche. Shimon.
Du hast einen Brief?
Chaim, Shimon.
Du hast einen Brief?
Ich will dir reinschicken den Brief, aber habe ich den Brief.
Okay, schick rein.
Aber das ist gedruckt, das ist eine gedruckte Sache. Die gedruckte Sache weiß man nicht. Wo ist gedruckt? Sie gedruckt in, sie gewinnen als spezieller Kunst, das man gemacht, die einmal als Ruiz a Kuntres von die alle Sachen von der Katrinaslav. Was man gedruckt haben, was gewesen, ich dachte mir, sie gedruckt mit der sie gewesen Lechovet Chofov. Jemai Lule Chofov hat man gedruckt a Kuntres und sie gewesen gedruckt die Briefen von Rebbe Shmoseid, was man gefunden, ja Katrinaslav, was Rebbe Shmoseid geschickt zu Rebbe Leviken. Man gefunden ein paar Sachen von Rebbe Levik. Das ist eine von den Sachen. Der Rebbe hat doch geschrieben, jemals zu Ber Levin, wenn geht so, soll suchen, er hat gefragt, Rebbe soll suchen, ja Katrinaslav, der Rebbe geschrieben, Sifriyat Amur, Shani Aguch HaYeresh. Und dort hat der Rebbe geschrieben, als, und sie haben gesucht, jemand Tovshin Memtes, nun, das haben gar nicht gefunden, und sie haben gemeint, weißt doch, als Lepel, gesehen, als der Rebbe geschrieben, man soll suchen, es verraten, was sie gefunden. Was hat er gefunden? Ameridik, der Eizer, viele sind noch ein paar Briefen, aber es ist Ameridik Eizer. Der Brief ist Poshet Eizer Mamisch, das der ganze Yahrzeit von der Fotz am Jonas Chutz hat sich auch gegeben in jenem Brief zu Rebbe Leviken. Es ist interessant, dass der Juman von der Rabash, der Regime ist der Rabash, von Rebbe Seiden, ist der letzte Wörter in dem Juman endigt sich, und der Rebbe Rashab ist weggefahren von Lubavitch. Was der letzte Wort, der Rebbe hat gesagt zu Rebbe Seide, der gesagt, sollen alle reden Chassidus, Yafutza meine Sicha Chutza. Das sind die letzte Wörter. Das ist der Juman. Sollen alle reden Chassidus, Yafutza meine Sicha Chutza. Das ist klar der Minion, als in ein Sein zu geben, der ganze, ein Wurf, ein Sein zu geben, der ganze Sturm. Und er fährt zum Jonas auf dem Ossi, ist das.
Aber Wuche,
Ja.
will ich geben eine Hore,
Ja.
der Rebbe Rashab, Arishik, der erste Talmidim, zu die Kafkas, wo die Witten, mit Saisonkin, und Schnee, die alle waren gefahren, jemand zu die alle, is ongeveer eigen zijn, ne? Hallo.
Ich denke, Sprung der Jahr darf da gucken dann. Wenn es geben die Schliches, wenn er Schmolle Witten gefahren.
Ja, der erste Schluchen, gefahren in de Stadt von Lubavitch. Een van ze Schmolle Witten, und so Sonkin, gefahren in Batum, und Schmolle Witten gefahren in Katais, und dort gefahren dort in der wo is hij gefahren? Schnee drauf. Die fünf, een brief van, ik heb een brief, de eerste sloegen was gefahren in die stedelijk. Die in een zijn?
Efter Rebbe Schmotkin wird kennen, sagen der Menschen.
Is dat daar? Is dat daar? Is daar een rapport? Ga je met z'n allen gaan van Gonia Morozer? Je ziet een doeg. Een doeg. De eerste Talmidim die vormen in die stedelijk, in die voorslugen. Jene gang. Dat is uit de dorpen. Als de Rashak, de oudste, je wordt naar Eden, van Chana, was de beste als ik kan kriegen voor. Brieven. Die zijn de brieven?
Sein Brief dachte sich mir, geschrieben zu seinem Vetter, Mendel Schneerson, nein?
Ik weet niet, aber de brief voor alleen, wer geschrieben den brief is Gonia Morozer.
Das denke ich nicht. Mir dort sie da Brief, das will ich aber geschrieben zu seinem Vetter, Mendel Schneerson. Dort erzählt wegen dem Schiddach.
Ja, als dat is het beste was dat ik kan kriegen. Hij kent een beetje Chassidus. En dat is de beste wat we kunnen kriegen voor je. And the best that we could get. You saw the brief?
I'll be happy to see it. You'll send it to me.
Okay. We gaan grieven. Je gaat die schicken geen brief en du schicken me dan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely. Aber Lazarov, nur was ein Nigen? Aber Lazarov.
Was?
Ein Nigen, ein chassidische Nigen. For, nu.
Vor ich von Eira weg, Teiere liebige Kind. Vor ich von dir weg, aber weiter weg. Da ist stolz mit dem Namen Schliach und der Munde. Und wir doch nicht verlieren. Weil du bist ein Schliach, das gehen wir nicht schämen.
L'chaim, aber Lazarov, l'chaim.
Hi. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Voor ik voor die weg. Da is stolz mit dem Namen Schliach und dem Munde, wo wir da nicht verlieren. Weil du bist ein Schliach, sag ich mal nicht schämen. Da ist stolz mit dem Namen Schliach und dem Munde, wo wir nicht verlieren. Weil du bist ein Schliach, sag ich mal nicht schämen.
Aber Lazarov,
Da ist stolz mit dem Namen Schliach und dem Munde, nicht verlieren. Weil du bist ein Schliach, sag ich mal nicht schämen. In
aber Lazarov,
yeah.
sei Mamschich, no?
Ah? Fang
Du
mich an,
weißt,
Rebbe.
Nistamen weißt du, als sie gewähnt ein größer Gilui, die letzte paar Tage. Nistamen hast du gehört.
Komm her.
Nicht gehört. Der Rebbe sagt doch,
Komm her.
der Rebbe hat doch gesagt, Yud Shvat Tov Shimem, und der Rebbe gesagt, als bei Bishleishim Shona, als noch 30 Jahre, als steht bei Cheskel, bei dem Merkove, als der Gilui am Elakus und der Merkove gewähnt, darf kein noch Shleishim Shona noch 30 Jahre. Der Rebbe ist Masbir, was er genommen 30 Jahre, sein der Gilui am Merkove. Nur der Rebbe sagt dort, aber Schaß geht er durch 30 Jahre von den Stalkers, wird ein neuer Gilui von Rebben in Welt, was er käme nicht gewähnt vor dem. Das ist gewähnt Gimel Tammuz.
Okay.
Noch dem Gimel Tammuz, gewähnt ein neuer Gilui von Rebben in Welt, haben wir gesehen, als der Präsident von Argentina gekommen zum Rebben, dann auch der Präsident von Albanien gekommen zum Rebben, und jetzt kommen Trump zum Rebben, zum Eil.
Ja.
Das ist ein Gilui, was sie kämlich gewähnt, so weißt du, viele Bescheid Chaim Chayussi, die fängt doch nicht kommen zum Rebben, die Präsidenten. Da hast du ein Präsident, was sie gewähnt, ein Präsident, und lebt zum Präsident, und kommen, und hat sich geführt mit der Bittel, sei gegeben Zdocke, der Seligson hat gemacht, der Job, sei gegeben Zdocke, und sei hat geschrieben Mapan, und sei gesagt im Rebens Kapitel, und hat gelegt den Pan auf den Ziehen, und hat gelegt den Stein. I mean, hat Mamisch, hat geführt, wir wissen doch alle, der wilde Chaie, hat geführt wie ein bitteldicker Ingel.
Und ich habe gehört, als gesagt, als die Cookies beim Ale, beiden Cookies nicht der Geschmack.
That's a joke or that's real? Mit den Tage gegeben Cookies von Ale, ich habe nicht gesehen, wie der genommen hat Cookie. Weiß ich nicht. Das ist
Cookie.
Ich habe nicht gesehen, das ist ein Joke. Maybe hat mir gegeben.
Ich sehe, der zweite Joke sind, dem Joke, na gesagt, wenn der beiden hat gerettet, was er das, I don't think he himself understood what he said. Hm?
Aber bei Emes, das ist Amerika.
Der zweite Joke, die Cookies sind nicht der Geschmack.
But bei Emes, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable zu sehen. Und ich hätte weiß, dass sie gewähnt, der Foreign Minister of Israel, wie der geheißen, Israel Katz, gewähnt, der Tag noch Gimel Tammuz. Und hat gerät befehrisch, als einmal gefolgt dem Rebben. Der alle Jahre, was der Rebbe gemont, wat kemel Oktober 7 nicht geschehen. Noch dem Biko beim Rebbe, noch dem was gehen beim Eil, hat ongame schreiben mit Atkifes, gegen die andere Minister. Moshe Lister geschrieben, der Secretary von der UN ist nicht welcome in Israel. Dann geschrieben mit Atekev. Sie kämen nicht gewinnen, das Sache. Gewinnt sehr softy. Noch dem Biko beim Eil, mit Zeta, Gile, Lekus von Rebbe in der Welt, als sie kämen nicht gewinnen, das Sache. Die Mama ist...
Wer hat das gesagt? Wer hat das gesagt?
Israel Katz. Israel Katz ist der Foreign Minister of Israel, Sarah Chutz von Israel.
Right.
Kommt zum Mail Dalle Tammuz. Freitag. Rita Tammuz. Kommt zum Mail und gewinnt Mail, geschrieben Apidien, sie freut geschrieben Apidien. Und ist rein zum Mail und gesagt Tilim, gesagt, gelegt den Pan, gelegt den Pan inside. Und danach hat gestanden, gemacht mit dem Koffer und hat mir gesagt, dass der Rebbe guckt auf die Ritzter und der Rebbe Mond von dir, also es nehmen Erzisroel in der ersten Efen, der Rebbe Schitte. Und ist ruhig, hat gesagt, dass fühlt sehr stark, hat chemisch gefühlt, sehr stark bei sich, als wir noch dem Eil. Und hat fähig gesagt, dass geht nehmen, als wird gefolgt dem Rebbe, wird nicht geschehen, Oktober 7.
Wer hat das gesagt?
Israel Katz. Sarah Chutz. Israel Katz.
Wer ist gewinnt?
Dem Gimel Tammuz. Dem Gimel Tammuz. Ich bin gestanden leben. Dem Gimel Tammuz. So mit Zet bemuchash, als noch Gimel Tammuz mit Shleshim Shana, wird ein neuer Gil für Rebbe in der Welt, was keinmal nicht gewinnt. Das heißt, als Menschen, als Pfarrer eine neue, als wird geringer zum Mikara Veniden zum Rebbe.
Gewoonlijk heb je al zo wissen, als es echt iets aan medeke matone. Hallo?
Ja, als was?
Listen. Die meisten met de wiepers, het is zo.
Ja.
Die hebben surfen, wat zaal, het ook dan gochme.
No.
Mames, als we pugers ben de losse banana in Midwoord. Die gaan piepers. Die moet je gaan zeggen, mopsing. Zijn we bij solo met het al en met eel. Je bent pas piepers. No? Zeg gochme, zoveel jaren. Ben dus gewinnen, dat zeg. Wij wat we kent anders lang kriegen, dat is al piepers. Is niet aan meters? Zo pieken ben alles ben daar ken.
Das ist ein Mefes No, but the MSM Mefes is, that the Rebbe Yemel gesagt in Tinosse, in Tovshin and Aleph, when he gave to the missiles, so the Rebbe Yemel gesagt as Etzisol is the most safest place in the world. Und Ada Yema Zeh, no matter where sie warft missiles of Etzisol, if it's the Houthis or it's the Iran or sie can nicht kimat nicht gagel von den missiles. It's unbelievable. Ada Yema Zeh. Die andere Sache, wo der Rebbe gerät Misselton und sie folgen nicht, ist Rachmanis an Treffen Karbonis noch anhand. Aber der Minion von den Missiles, wo der Rebbe hat immer gesagt, ist Ada Yema Zeh, nicht gewähnt, jemand kein einig Jahr von den Missiles. It's unbelievable.
Ja. Und die Bibels, weißt du das Wort von die Bibels?
Die Bibel ist ein anderer. Die Bibel ist noch einen.
Nicht noch einen, das ist Mamisch. Mopsi Mamisch. Geht darum, wie die Schwollenheden. Weet je, een is dat terrorist. Ik kan niet weten wer dat terrorist wer niet. Je gaat in een hospital. Je wist, mijn hals van bedegen, mijn hals van bedegen. En ze is alle blikken wel. Maak je me zwemmen voor een. Een van de andere, men lacht een van de andere. Gemam is Mopsi. Als dat gochme. Verdammt alleen dat waar ik hier is.
Warte, das ist sicher. Der Rebbe doch jemals gesagt,
What?
jemand noch die Yechides Klolis von jemals, von noch Pesach, hat der Rebbe jemals gesagt, man darf beemes tanzen in de Gassen, aber man sagt solche Nissim. Der Rebbe hat jemals gesagt, als Pfarrer, als solche was fragen, von wo sieht man nicht heint Nissim? Und der Rebbe gesagt, guck in Gassen zu sehen, die größte Nissim, was tut sich. Also, ich denke, bei Farbrengen, der Rebbe hat gesagt, als das Schmeichel, als ein Goy schießt am Missel und der zweite Goy schießt darauf den Missel. Na, wir wissen sein, als es nicht im Gluim. Das jemand gewinnt, weil es so doch nicht kein Mischen sagt, jemand. Weil Amerika hat geschießt den Missel zurück. Also, der hat so gesagt, ein Goy schießt am Missel, der zweite Goy schießt darauf am Missel. Hat bei jemand es ist ein 30 Jahre von jemand, 30 Jahre von jemand, 34 Jahre von jemand. Und wenn sie kommen, Missel zu Israel, nothing is happening. Das ist unbelievable. Das ist passiert, das heißt, aber Schaß mit Volk dem Reben ist voran a Gana hermetic. Das heißt, a complete security. A der Rebbe ist Megin. Und der einzige Problem, was voran mit den Piguim in der Zisroel, was Volk dem Reben.
Ja.
Aber Levitin, nu, ist er schlafen geworden, aber Levitin.
Ja,
Was?
besser.
Schauber, nu, sag etwas.
Hoe jij hebben die?
Ja, Shimon.
L'chaim, Shimon, L'chaim.
Ja.
Nu,
Dan hebben ze helft naar Pichelbun en losse bananen naar kind, dan is galeren.
du meinst doch Pinchas Leo, meinst du doch.
Huh?
Pinchas Leo, das meinst du. L'chaim, L'chaim.
Ja. Ja. Right, dat is. Hoe zit het nou? Dat bij mijn mail?